Cool Figure TV. Revolutionary salute. Revolutionary salute. Like, share, subscribe. Welcome to the House of Revolution. You know I'm your humble host, the Yao Ming of Revolution, and Trump is surging in every poll, y'all. In every poll, Kamala is not doing so good, but they're lying. Before we get into that, be sure to wipe your feet. That means hit the like button, like, share, subscribe, support the platform. Salute, brother. I appreciate the love, brother. Let's get right into this. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to get into some technical information to prove to y'all Trump is surging in every poll, and then we will move on to what's actually going on in the campaign. But let's start this off with something mainstream media do not want to do, and that's actually show you Trump is up in all the polls.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we do have amazing news to report. Over the past few days, the polling numbers for Donald Trump have gone significantly up, and it's reflective in the betting. Trump now sitting at a 52% chance to win the election. Not that that's that big of a deal. I try and caution people because maybe in a few days, Kamala is going to be at 52% chance. But I'm just saying this is the way things go when it comes to the betting, when it comes to the polls. It's up, it's down. But this is really good stuff because if you paid attention and you looked at some of the betting in 2020, I mean, Biden was up significantly pretty much throughout the entire cycle. He was up in all the national polls. So this is a different cycle. And we want to stress that these are way better numbers for Trump than what he was getting in 2016 and 2020. And we did get an updated Rasmussen poll. They do their daily polling every single day. You can see the difference. At one point, Kamala Harris went ahead. There was significant hype for her. Now you can see the recent update. They do have Donald Trump up by 10 points, and they do stress that, of course,
the honeymoon is over. The honeymoon is over. The initial shock, Joe Biden is out, she's in, now it's starting to set in. Oh, yeah, she's in. Her
is an outlier. It's not really true. We know that Donald Trump is not up by 10, but if you look at the moving average, Trump's sitting, they're saying up by about 3 or 4 points in the national race. And people are wondering, well, why is this the case? Was it the RFK thing? By the way, now it's come out that RFK likely to endorse Donald Trump in LA on Friday, right?
And the Democrats is pissed about that. RFK come out and endorse Trump. That's going to give him a big boost from independents who could have leaned either way. But if RFK Jr. sides with Trump like he's coming out saying he will do this Friday, it's going to be just like Trump just got a new VP.
Right after the DNC, it makes total sense. That's something I've been all over. I said RFK was going to endorse Trump. I said it would happen in September.
You know what? That's so smart. After this little buzz they trying to get at the convention, RFK Jr. coming out and backing supporting Trump, endorsing Trump, that's going to just deflate their balloon.
A week before that, but still, we knew this was going to happen. I put everything together, and RFK endorsing Trump will help him, even if it is artificial. Kamala Harris speaking on Thursday night, RFK doing it on Friday. It takes all of her momentum away. This is a huge thing. Absolutely, considering RFK is running third right now in this race. It's going to be the number one story by far. And so RFK now is going to be campaigning for Trump, and Trump is trying to put together this super team of political people to get in his cabinet with Vivek, with Tulsi Gabbard, with RFK. You've already got JD Vance. I mean, this is a serious Elon Musk now going to be a part of it. This is a serious team. And this is why people realize, and they're saying, all right, let's get Trump back in, see what he can do. Last night, you hear the DNC, the Obama speaking, talking about trying to find world peace and everything like that. It is so hypocritical. It's total gaslighting. Look at where we were at with Trump versus Biden in terms of world peace. You've got all the wars going on right now. You've got the situation with Israel, Palestine. You have the Ukraine-Russia situation, and you've got significant destabilization with Iran as well as China looking at Taiwan. So we're at a significantly worse place. That's why we want Trump to come back in, try and mend the fences, get this war, especially the Russia-Ukraine war, figured out, because there's a lot of people dooming right now talking about potentially going into a World War III scenario. I think Trump can keep us from doing that with the relationship he has with Russia. Of course, they say, well, he's a Russian agent because he's actually got a decent relationship and he tries to keep world peace. So they call him a Russian agent. Now, that's amazing. But you can see when it comes to poly market, You do have Trump sitting 52% chance. You know, the Poly Market used to have the graph where it would show the changes. Where did that go? Does anyone know where that went? It's just all the friggin' people commenting.
And you see, lately they haven't been talking about the polls. That's because she's not up in the polls. She got that initial little boost when Biden dropped out, but now she's not up. People are starting to set in and realize her policies are what the policies of Biden are way worse. She hasn't put nothing substantial on the table and won't put any, can't put, the Democrats can't come up with nothing that sounds good. It got to be outrageously left, you know, like more LGBTQ, more immigrants. See, they got to come up with something. Reparations will be real big, but they don't want to pay you.
Like, maybe it's activity. No, that's not what it is. Some dude sold Kamala Harris winning the election for $4. Well, there it is. But some dude has $4 million worth. That's hilarious. But either way, you can see Donald Trump going up in terms of that. We've also got some interesting stuff out of Pennsylvania. I think Pennsylvania is looking really good. Donald Trump, see, they don't have it, but he's led the last 4 national polls out of Pennsylvania. The last 3, it's been only +1. So it's very small numbers. You've got the Quinnipiac. We know how liberal they are, although they're trying to be better. New York Times. Guys, the thing that you have to realize with a lot of these national polls is they just don't really care. There is so much response bias right now. If they get a poll and it says Harris +4 or +5, they'll just slap it on there. And people are like, oh, it's a national poll, so it matters more. And this, no, there's just crazy response bias right now. That's going to change once RFK endorses Trump, I think, and that will help. But even this, you look at the scenarios, Biden +5.7 this day in history. Hillary was plus around 9. Of course, Trump beat Hillary, and then Trump did come within a point of beating Biden. So he overperformed that average by around 5 points. And you can see if he does even overperform his average by 2 points, he would win by about 2.4 in terms of that. We've also got Kamala Harris coming out and talking about her tax on unrealized gains, which would destroy any crypto investor. It would hurt the stock market significantly. And guys, I'm very concerned at the amount of naive thinking I've seen when it comes to a lot of Americans in terms of this unrealized gains tax. People saying, well, look at it. It's only for people making over $100 million. Well, yes, you shouldn't think like that. You should think like this is just them introducing it. You know, it's just like when you get a new fish and you've got it in the bag, you take it home, you put it in a tank. You don't dump the fish in the tank immediately because it would be shocked with the temperature change. You have to acclimate it with the bag over in the water, and then the water in the bag slowly starts to change and the fish gets acclimated, and then you dump the fish in the tank. They're trying to acclimate people to the idea of these crazy communist type style taxes because they don't want people investing. You should not make, and they're going to try and shut cryptocurrency down. I'm not even kidding you. With the amount, like the way you can be financially free from crypto, I know it's you can lose a lot of money. Trust me, I realize that. But it's just the idea of crypto. I think they're going to shut it down. We need to make money quickly because if Kamala gets in, the amount of they've already tried it. Look at all the centralized exchanges getting straight up banned from the United States for nothing other than existing. They get banned for existing here in this country when it comes to crypto. And it's not just crypto, it's also the stocks now. They want to control all the investments. Sure, you can make over the span of 30 years, you can make $15,000. We'll allow you to do that. But if you try making $1 million off of one trade in the span of 4 months, no. We need to tax you on your unrealized gain. So you need to take your money out immediately. It's just so ridiculous. It is such a horrible thing. I understand people are going to say, well, it's only for 100 million. And again, guys, you have to think that's how they acclimate you to the tax. They're not going to come out and say, we're going to tax everyone, or people making over 100K, or, whatever, do something absurdly aggressive. They're just going to say, because it's just like stupid little mice and you get cheese and you put it on the trap and then, you slam it because they're saying, well, guys, don't worry. We're all normal middle-class citizens. Nobody's going to make 100 million. It's just those evil rich people. It's so bad. And then they bring it down. And then it happens to everyone with all investments, and they turn the general public against the idea of making money through investing. Because, you don't need to be greedy. You don't. Look at Obama last night. Both Michelle and Barack, but mainly Michelle was like, my parents, we never took more than than was needed. They own a $20 million mansion. None of these people practice what they preach. If any of these people preach communism or socialist idea, and by the way, there are parts of our government that are socialist where we all contribute, but the idea of having it as a mainstay, by the way, the establishment left does not want that. I'll just be honest with you. They like communism. I agree, but it's all the younger, stupid kids who are, they don't have fully developed brains. They think that socialism and communism are better. A lot of it has to do, it's more of a psychology thing where it's like, they themselves have some type of guilt and they need to pass it on and make themselves feel good. So they believe in this ideology where everyone is equal. And it all relates back to self-hate. All these people that believe in communism, socialism, they're compensating for something that they don't, there's something in their body is missing. And they're trying to make up for that by saying everyone needs to be equal. And it gives them something, it signals to their brain that they're doing something good, because they're saying everyone should be equal and we shouldn't have people that are financially free. And they want, they're like, oh, everyone needs to work. It's going to be 4-day work weeks. You're all going to live in apartments. Only the government should own land. But this is where all this stuff comes from. So this Kamala Harris plan is just horrible. This is what the Biden administration wanted to do. And now Kamala Harris picking up on it. And so this is great for Trump. This is amazing. And again, this is what they always do. Remember, when it comes to taxes, we're not going to raise your taxes if you're making under 400K. Well, now, thanks to you and your administration, 400K is worth 300K because it's a 25% inflation. This is what I'm saying. When it comes to having $1 million, people can't really understand the idea of, guys, $1 million in 2019 is worth 750K today. Okay. And you've got these houses now. If you want to buy a decent house, it's $500,000. And that's in like bad housing markets. Okay. You go to some of the bigger cities, you'll be paying, if you go on a nice house, like 1.5 million, 2 million. So the idea that, oh, we're not going to increase your taxes if you're making under 400K. Well, listen, with how bad inflation is, people make over 400K. It's still hard. So this is the stuff we're trying to say. And when it comes to these are really good numbers for Trump. That's what I'll say. When it comes, I think the numbers are going to keep going in Trump's direction. The DNC, they're going to try and take back the momentum. The Barack was out there speaking. It was it's typical Barack. It was more nuanced than all the other speakers. I'll give him that. He is a good talker, but I didn't think it was anything special. It's about unity, and then they try and attack Trump, all of that crap. But these numbers recently we've seen from Rasmussen have been phenomenal. The RFK endorsement or potential RFK endorsement. And on top of that, I didn't even mention it in this video. You've got the Virginia poll that came out that said Trump has a chance. And you've got Glenn Youngkin working with Trump and having a rally in Virginia at some point soon with Trump. And Glenn Youngkin has an approval rating of like +16 in Virginia. Kamala Harris is -10. Glenn Youngkin's going to win Trump Virginia, and it's going to change the electoral math for Donald Trump, because right now he's only down by 3, and that is a good pollster, Roanoke. They underestimated Trump in 2020, and once we get more polls, I think it's going to be very close. I think Minnesota is going to be closer as well. People say, well, Walz, he's going to help. No, he's not going to help. He's very partisan. Independent people don't like him. And now the approval rating has come out on Walz. Walz and Vance are like neck and neck in terms of they're both -15. Vance is going to annihilate Walz in the debate. Even Democrats admit it. So Vance is going to go up higher in approval. The problem with Vance is they've really got him on this, oh, he's a women hater, things like that. And it is a big issue. The thing is, the Democrats have effectively labeled Vance as disliking women. And so Vance has got to overcome that. And it's going to be hard, but he'll be able to do it once he gets a national spotlight, like during the debate. And he'll just have free reign. It'll be a smorgasbord destroying walls, and it'll be
asking me how I can vote for Trump. I have a question for y'all Christian Democrats, okay? How in the world Do you find it acceptable that at the Democratic
Oh,
National Convention, they have a mobile clinic? Can someone do me a solid and answer that? Okay, y'all keyboard warriors have no issue coming in the comments on my other videos, so I'm gonna need y'all to show up on this one, because asking for a friend and myself, everybody, your grandma, your mother, all of them, like how are we thinking that this is okay? And also, how can we justify a candidate that is like one of the main things that they speak about and hype up? I'm just like, I am so genuinely curious, because you guys come in my comments and say things like, oh, well, Trump is a racist and I don't even know. You guys just make up crazy stuff that the media brainwashes you to believe. But it's like, Trump was already our president, you guys. All the Black people did not get put into slave camps. What are y'all?
It's so hard to have a conversation with people nowadays, to be honest with you. It's so difficult to reason and hopefully have some level of logic with people that are not looking to be reasoned with. I can't understand it either for the sake of anything, to be honest with you. I was about to say for the sake of my life. I can't understand it either. When I found out, now again, I'm not a person that has ever really stomped for or had extensive conversations about what women can do with their bodies, because I just know the nature of people. They're going to do what they want to do anyway. I see people taking Plan B pills, people are having children out of wedlock, all of that. So we hold people accountable for, their talking points and what they do. And to be honest with you, very few times outside of this presidential election. And the only reason that I'm starting to really participate in this is because Democrats have been beating this, and the Kamala Harris campaign have been beating it, and they've been flying all over the country. And I watched that. I did a review on the Millionaire Morning Show this morning and broke down exactly how Obama and Michelle Obama, the Barack and Michelle, was lying not only about his record when it comes to immigration, or he was not even, I'm not even going to say lying. He was a hypocrite when it comes to analyzing and criticizing immigration policy when he was the deporter in chief. But then on top of that, you know what I'm saying? The one thing that they kept hitting on, and they kept saying controlling women's reproductive rights and all of that. No, just call it what it is. Let's just call a spade a spade. All of these people, listen, forget that. That's the cherry on top, because Planned Parenthood is sitting outside of the Democratic National Convention offering free services to whoever it is that they want to do what they want to do. I mean, they promoting it outside of the Democratic National. They're not even hiding no more. They putting it right in front of y'all face and saying, I dare you to say something. And as a matter of fact, put your values, put your morals away, and you're going to have to vote based off of identity politics or the fact that you just historically always been Democrat because that's what your parents taught you to be. If that's not the craziest thing that I've ever heard in my entire life, I don't know what is. But then on top of that, we already know, because I'm not a person that's going to sit here and tell people what they can and can't do in their own home, but they are promoting it. Obama and Barack Obama and Michelle Obama sat there and had a conversation with people and pitched this. And everybody cheered when they talk about what it is that your kids should be reading and the books that should be in the library. And we already know that that's a part of the alphabet community agenda. How is more Black women in church? I mean, I guess I shouldn't be surprised, because all you got to do is look at the choir director. Let this woman cook.
Talking about, if anything, do you know how many Black colleges that he rescued, that he literally funded and pulled them out of going under? Like, do you know all of the things that he's actually done for the African American community? Do you want to know what's truly racist? And I'm like feeling amped up on this one. Do you want to know what's racist? Kamala talks Black, right? Which that in itself is racist. She changes her voice around people. That is like such a slap in the face, you guys. Like, I literally can't. So I'm inviting you guys in the comment section this time. Go ahead, go for it. Let me know how in the world.
You can forget it, baby. You can, honest to God, forget it, because there is no rhyme or reason or logic behind some of the stuff that people are doing. every single day. We sit here and we talk about values and morals, and they just sit there right in front of your face. And because they are the first black couple, or Kamala Harris is a woman that is portraying herself to be all of these different nationalities, and we pick and choose when it's convenient, however it is it's convenient, depending on what they need you for and what vote that they want you for, then they could say, yo, listen, vote for me regardless of what your morals and your values are, because we don't like that guy. And that's the biggest thing that they try to use. We don't like that guy. We know definitively, the people that are thinkers and the people that are informed know that you just don't take things on the surface. And when you start to do the research, it's literally election interference. Letitia James in New York, the district attorney, the prosecuting district person that went after Trump in New York, her whole platform was based off of, I'm going to go and try to chase down Trump in a historically blue state and city. And we're acting like that's not a thing. We acting like we don't know, like you can't go and look up the fact that the mayor of Atlanta and Fani Willis, the district attorney over in Fulton County, who herself was being investigated, and they had to kick her boyfriend off the case because he was not on there and they was finessing the taxpayers. And we know that all of the church black leaders just went there and they went behind him and they was like, oh yeah, we rolling with her. We rolling with her no matter what. We know for a fact that they went and visited the White House individually. And it says that they went to meet with the Vice President of the United States of America. It is public information, and we just completely ignored. And then all of a sudden, a bunch of charges get filed against Trump over in Georgia. They trying to remove him from ballots. The Supreme Court absolutely struck that down. And now we sitting here having a conversation about, oh no, but he's a convicted felon. He wasn't no convicted felon before he ever ran for president of the United States of America. Black people love Trump. They love him. They read his books. They watched his TV shows. They stayed at his hotels. They still stay at his hotels. And now all of a sudden you got Plies, D.L. Hughley, Ricky Smiley, Steve Harvey, all of these people that's a part of the black elite establishment. And they're more aligned with Greek culture than they are about whatever it is that's best for their families or what's best for your families. And you following them into the mud while they getting rich off of whatever it is that you rocking with. Don't you know that all of these paid influencers are making money off of the Democratic campaign that's ultimately shilling and putting this stuff in front of your face? Charlamagne the God, what more y'all want from me? How much more do y'all want from me? We got, 80 days or something like that into the national 2.5 months
fight hard
into the national election, and we sitting here playing games and we not really paying attention to what's going on in these streets. Y'all still being finessed, y'all still being taken advantage of, y'all still not being informed voters and thinkers, and you still can't educate yourself and open yourself up to the possibility of what if you're not looking at policy, you don't realize that economic policy was trash. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, T. Hanley.
Press at the DNC are crazy as hell, shouting they're not going back. Hell no, I don't want to go back to open borders, high food prices, high gas prices, high inflation, high interest rate, can't even buy a home. Why? I don't want to go back, Kamala. That's why I'm not voting for you. I'm voting for Donald Trump. And who in the hell had the agility or the stamina to stay up all night and to listen to Joe Biden? Joe Biden and all his damn lies. That's all he did was lie, and scream is more louder than I'm screaming right now. Man, I got to give y'all props that y'all stayed up to watch Joe Biden. I thought that he might throw down and say something against the Democrats for orchestrating a coup against him, but no, he stayed on script, lying about Donald Trump and his lying ass. I'm tired of Joe Biden. I'm tired of Kamala.
Watching the DNC last night, which I definitely fell asleep on. I kind of flipped to Netflix, and yeah, still fell asleep. Anyhow, watching that whole exchange last night just made me go, yo, these people don't want to take accountability for nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. Somebody actually wrote right here. It's actually insane how they don't take responsibility for the state of the country. The same woman running for president in the White House currently. I'm sorry. The same woman running for president is in the White House currently, but she will fix the problem later. I don't know, y'all. Y'all make it make sense to me. It ain't registering to me either. That it just the 1 plus the 1 is equaling 37 with Kamala, bro. It don't make sense. We don't know. And you got Joe Biden, who is 100% worse than her at line. Yeah, I can't say 100%. Starting to see Kamala rise that. Try to balance that out as she campaigns. Anyhow, let's hear some more complaints from the people.
You know, it's comical to me that people are believing this nonsense of on day one, we're going to fix illegal immigration. We're going to fix inflation when day one for Kamala Harris was 3.5 years ago. And quite frankly, she's the reason why we're having these issues today. Because when she came into office, she was in charge of trying to find the root causes of illegal immigration and slowing down the border crisis. And guess what? She recommended and enacted all the policies that rose illegal immigration. She's the reason why we have this inflationary issue. When she was vice president for the first 2 years, it was a 50-50 Senate. She was the tie-breaking vote, right? She was the tie-breaking vote for all these crazy economic policies like the American Rescue Plan, the Inflation Reduction Act that did not do anything to help inflation. It caused more inflation because they spent more money than they needed to. She was the tie-breaking vote. So I'm from a time, I don't know what the hell the times are now. If someone's a problem, you get them the hell out. You don't give them a promotion.
Now, I promise you we're going to get to some footage from the DNC. But before we do, I just wanted to, get everybody up to speed with how America's actually feeling about what they watched. And you know what? I'm just tired of them trying to prop Kamala Harris up. You don't get a raise at a job. You don't get a bigger office when you make your company worse off in your current position. I don't see her taking a manager role, if she burning the fries, bro. I don't see her making it to the grill, y'all. If she burning the fries, let's read some comments under here, man. Somebody said spot on. The left is taking a lot of average Americans for granted, thinking they are dumber than what they actually are. The Dems forget that the people who are most knowledgeable about the economy are the ones who have to endure it. And that's the part that really baffles me. People out there trying to tell you that you aren't going through what you're actually going through. It's like, you may not like Trump, but I'm pretty sure you don't like your check the way it looked even more. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Then we got Obama. Yes, Obama, Michelle Obama, Barack Obama both spoke at the DNC. I think Barack spoke for over a half hour. Michelle, she spoke around the same. I think it was like 20 minutes to like a half hour, something like that. And I'm going to reduce them down to like 3 clips at that. Anyhow, before we get into it, I gotta hear my guy, Terrence K. Williams. Make sure y'all follow him on all platforms. But I just love his energy and what he contributes to what happened last night. His thought process on the DNC. Obama specifically. Really. Yeah. Legit Obama.
So the great divider is speaking tonight, y'all. Barack Obama. Barack Obama is the last person that I want to hear from. He shouldn't open up his damn mouth. This man is the reason why America is so damn divided. Obama, I blame his black ass. I blame him. People, be prepared. Be prepared, okay? Obama is going to do his best to divide the country tonight, okay? Oh, he's worse than Joe Biden. He's worse than Kamala Harris. Obama is the great divider. He's going to get his black skinny ass on stage with his black smoker lips. Yeah, He's going to get on stage and he's going to race bait. He's going to tell the American people, I already know what his black is going to say. I already know. It's the same bull. It's the same BS, okay? Actually, I'm going to say the word. So if you got sensitive ears, then you might as well go ahead and stop watching this video right now. Just go watch another video, okay? So, because I'm not about to hold back. Obama is going to be talking the same bullshit. The same bullshit, okay? The same bullshit. And the American people don't need to hear it. They don't need to hear it at all. I blame Barack Obama. The country has never been so divided. So divided, okay? America was doing better, okay? The American people were finally coming together as one, like Martin Luther King wanted. And then here comes Obama, screwing up shit, dividing people. It is absolutely insane. I don't want to hear from this man at all. At all. Black people, do not be fooled. Obama is going to tell you that Donald Trump, he's going to push that Donald Trump is dividing the country. He's going to push that shit, and it's not true. Do not believe the words that come out of his mouth. Do not believe it. Because what you have to do, black people, listen up. Y'all share this video. Black people, listen up. Okay? Listen up. What did Barack Obama do for you when he was president? Not a damn thing, okay? All he did was lie. So guess what he's going to do tonight? He is going to lie, and he is going to tell you that you must vote for Kamala Harris to save the country when her wannabe black is already in the White House, okay? So they're going to act like she's not even in the White House. And they're going to try to make you believe that you have to vote for her or else America's going to be over. That's bull. Do not believe it. Don't believe it. They're going to push that. They're going to say that Donald Trump is a racist. Come on. They said that in 2016. Obama's going to get up there and say, we need change. His black is already saying that we need change. Barack Obama, that was your slogan. You said you were changing America. But you did, Obama. You did. You changed America for the worse. Black people, do not listen to Obama tonight. Do not listen to those lies. Remember how he didn't do a damn thing for you. Remember how he lied to everybody in this country. Oh, he had everybody fooled. Okay, so
somebody tell Terrence that we need to go ahead and get together. I need him to predict the lottery ticket because that boy was on point. He predicted that to a T. I mean, so much to a T that I only have to show you one clip from Obama's whole speech just to confirm everything that Terrence just said. Obama, man, when I think of Obama, I just think about race, and that's not what I'm supposed to think about. You know, I'm supposed to think of a person and think about race. But everything with the Obamas just became about race. Race this, race that, race this. So yeah, man, I can feel his frustration as to why he felt that way before Obama went up on stage, started speaking, because I promise once he started speaking, I'm sitting there like, yeah, you was right. It's been 2 days of DNC, and I haven't heard one policy that will help this country. All I hear is divisiveness. That's it.
The people who will decide this election are asking a very simple question. Who will fight for me? Who's thinking about my future, about my children's future, about our future together? One thing is for certain, Donald Trump is not losing sleep over that question. Here's a 78-year-old billionaire.
It's a con artist
who has not stopped whining about his problems since he rode down his golden escalator 9 years ago. It has been a constant stream of gripes and grievances that's actually been getting worse now that he's afraid of losing to Kamala.
Never forget, Obama said that Trump was the definition of the American dream before he started doing all this hating. He wanted to beat Trump. Never forget that.
Childish nicknames, the crazy conspiracy theories, this weird obsession with crowd sizes. It just goes on and on.
And that 63-year-old millionaire sent the FBI to spy on Donald Trump illegally. I told y'all though, Terrence was right, bro. Just spewing divisiveness.
Once you see,
he's
like
just 70 or 8.
Once you see how every last one of these people, all the people on TV, everybody in Hollywood, we played the videos, was all on that man Jock before he ran. All the pictures with him, they wanted to be like him. He had everything they could ever want. Now he's Hitler, but they phony. That's what they're gonna show you, man. Can't take people.
Whining and whining. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And that's definitely not the case. This man is literally fighting for the American people, and they're trying to reduce him to something of a child, all because they don't like the way the man speak, man. Obama was the peace candidate, right, in 2008, right? Let's read some of these comments. What happened to the investigation of their chef unaliving near their home? Haven't heard any word about that. Obama won the Nobel Peace. I don't even want to say that one. I do not want to say that. I don't want to say that. This man is an out and out narcissist. He said narcissistic personality disorder is a mental health condition which people have an unreasonably high sense of their own importance. This man moved right next to the White House. But yeah, it's just nothing but more projection. He's talking about, he got this weird obsession. They go to word weird. The Democrats have been using that word, trying to coin it and brand it with side by side with Trump. But he has this weird obsession, this, that, and the third, with honestly trying to protect the American people. But he was talking about crowd sizes. Yeah, y'all just hating. That's all it sounded.
They have been busted using AI. They have been busted using AI. They have been busted busting in homeless people, paying homeless people to come to their crowds. They're using the Greek freaks, the fraternities, and Trump bring it up. They want to say, he's just worried about crowd size. Come on, man. Only person, Barack Obama, now he can talk about crowd size because all the black people came out. So Obama, but he the only one, and Bernie Sanders the only one that could compete with Trump. So Obama up there beating his motherfucking chest. But he know goddamn well, like I said, Obama wanted to be like Trump. Obama the one said Trump was the definition of the American dream. He can't never walk that back. Nigga, you wanted to be the man.
Sounded like was just straight hate. Really you got this weird obsession.
Trump became president. You see, Trump did something he did something Obama could do. Obama could never be Trump. Trump to say, I was president, nigga, so I did that. But you could never be me. You can never have Trump towers and all this, have that the image that I have, and that's true. And then when Trump coming to the black community, they showing him that love, and he was an icon. And this was really fuck Obama up. Trump was an icon in the black community before Obama was even thought about. He hate that shit. That's why he hate Trump.
That's what crowd size, I don't know if I can draw out that many people.
When they start rapping about Obama, they was rapping about Trump.
But you know what I mean? And his wife, she ain't making no better.
I want to know.
Michael,
I want to know.
Mike need to chill out.
Who's going to tell him that the job he's currently seeking might just be one of those black jobs?
See, they can get away with that. But Trump said, I want the white man job. Oh, racist. But see, this is what I don't like. Don't be using black just to ride with black. And look at all the white people. These people say it again. This is what I don't like about the Democratic Party. These people don't give a damn about no black people. These people don't give a damn about no black people. They're about black jobs. And I'm going to tell you right now, if Michael want to do this, they know there's going to be a lot of investigation into exactly what's going on with Michael Obama. We're going to be digging into that, man. That ain't no conspiracy, man. People laughing at y'all, man.
It's his same.
Now, I'm going to be honest, black people, my people. We look really, really soft and ignorant when we respond to stuff like, he said Hispanic jobs. He said black jobs and Hispanic jobs. I don't see one Hispanic talking about or doing half of the stuff that we doing. Like, it's like, are we purposely misunderstanding this man and try to add another villain arc to him because we can't fight him with policy? Really?
We don't want to hear nothing the war criminal Obama talking about the nigga killed Gaddafi. Black people got put in cages in Libya. We don't want to hear nothing from no clown like that. We believed in you. Then you killed Gaddafi, then black people. First time since the slave trade have we seen black people on an auction block and they bidding for him. Strong black male. I won't see it in. That's what Obama gave. And then the Congressional Black Caucus, what they do? They didn't do nothing. That's Obama's legacy to the world. And then they started hunting down Christians all over Africa, all through the Middle East, chopping off their heads. Come on, man. Everybody you want to Google it? So nobody have time for the shoe shine of Obama and nothing he got to say, because we're not going for that. We don't believe in it. We've been done with that. He showed us where he was at. Got in the office, LGBTQ rights. They called him the first gay president. Magazines, first gay president. That's what a backslap to us. Huh? Then he did DACA, illegal immigrants. You see, Obama could never say, I'm not doing nothing just for, because he did something for everybody else. So I think we just see what they don't understand is we getting our get back now on the Greek freaks and the boule. We gonna love putting an end to their political careers. I don't give a damn if Massa throw them out their houses, they can't pay their mortgages. You should never play with us. And we in our neighborhoods. You know, we're going to all of the city council meetings. We showing up in churches. That's right. We got 80 days. We showing up on Sunday morning. We want to know, where did it all go wrong? When did they start believing that a boy can be a girl and a girl can be a boy? Everybody talking about Obama. You need in the audience talking about Obama so great. Why do you think that a boy can be a girl and a girl can be a boy? Huh? You answer that. Why do you think that kids can transition? We don't like that over here. We fighting against that. Come on now. Like I say, I'm so glad that we're here now to this type of, because I'm glad we didn't get all our reparations and then start building a new civilization. We would have had all these perverts with us. Y'all can't come with us. No, we won't be, we unevenly yoked. You see how this gonna go? So I'm glad this happened. I'm glad we have to have this civil war. And we have it out in the open in front of everybody. Now the whole world know who the coons is and who not. Who the shoe shiners is.
That's basically
buff, shine, buff, shine. God damn it.
Basically what's happening here, man. And it's tiring, dog. It's like, you know what he meant by black jobs. He's saying that what Kamala is doing is creating an issue for your jobs. They can take away jobs from black people, Hispanic people, et cetera, et cetera. But no. They took it and said, oh, you know, black job. Oh, that's racist. He's talking about black. Everything is racist to you sensitive people, man. But everything is racist except what Obama does. I don't understand it. You know what I mean? Like, and back in the day, if I would have heard the speech, I would have been, oh, yeah, they just took down Trump. You know, when I was real heavy with the TDS, they just took down Trump. But I'm just looking at it now, like race and politics. What a surprise. You know what I'm saying? This is Michelling for sure, or Obama-ing for sure. You know, because you got people in there just, you know, just rooting for the small talking points. But I'm going like, okay.
Hell no. We don't want to hear from Michelle. I seen what the white boys was doing with her daughters. Horrible mother. How dare you, Michael? You don't even know how to be a good stepfather. Do you, Michael? That's why you don't give a damn about them teenage girls. And you know what? That was so shameful that them frat boys, they showed the whole world that they was slutting around Obama and them daughters. When I seen that, I say, what the hell is Obama doing? Then nobody forget when COVID happened, one of the boyfriends was shacked up in the house with Obama and them. I say, what the this nigga, I say, this has got to be a movie. There's got to be a movie. You're supposed to be the president. You letting the daughter shack. That's called shacking up. They're not married. See, they got odd nigga. You not black. See, we don't do that in the black. That's called shacking up. Big mama slap the hell out of you trying to shack up. Obama had them white boys shacked up in his house with his daughters. I seen them drunk with the frat boys. You know what go on with the frat boys? Lord have mercy, Obama and Michael. What the hell are y'all thinking? We don't want y'all near our kids. Oh, hell no.
Okay. We got comments like she owned him like a dog. What a beautiful moment. Michelle is taking such a bite out of Trump's ass. He may end up actually weighing what Ronnie Jackson said he does. I don't even know what that means. Somebody said, what a burn. Somebody also said, yet again, it's a black thing. You have two cards to play, racism and abortion. Definitely. I think America is sick of that. How long do liberals think that they can beat the same dead horse? I don't know, but I know for me, I'm tired of it. I don't know about y'all, but Benny Johnson, he went to the south side of Chicago and he asked who they wanted for president. And he's in legitimate shock, he says, at these answers. His jaw was on the floor. Obama talked a lot of trash about Trump. Let's see if they feel the same way.
I vote for
for Trump.
I go for Donald Trump.
Come on, man. It's the hood, man.
I go for Trump.
Who are you voting for in 2024?
Trump too.
And why is that, ma'am?
He the best president.
Come on, man. This why Obama hate, man. We don't fuck with you like that, bro. Go to Alaska, man. Nigga. Go ahead. Who the Alaskan people want? I mean, the Hawaiian people. Who they want in Indonesia, nigga? That's where you was at, nigga. Who do the Kenyans want? We don't want you. We don't claim, and I'm so glad it's time the whole world know. We don't claim Obama. We done with him. We don't give a damn about he ran the scam. Cool. He a Kenyan scammer. He a Kenyan finesser. He finessed us good. That's what they do. Not all of them, but his lineage, his tribe. I just say that. What's up, my revolutionary Kenyans, man? I ain't even slap y'all around like that. But Obama. So now they see. Even the babies hollering Trump, man. It's over for them people, man. Even the babies hollering Trump. You can't fake this.
Ever. Has Barack Obama done anything for around here? And
He never did anything since he been in office.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he out. Trump, the best.
Barack Obama, I ain't got no message to say him. I don't mess with Barack Obama.
Yeah.
No, I'm a Trump supporter. Trump do more for black people and care more about black people. And Barack Obama ain't black. Just to let that be known.
Man, stand on that, man.
What about Kamala Harris?
I don't with her either. All Trump all day.
Yeah. What's your message to Donald Trump today?
Keep going. Come get us, man. We waiting on.
Man, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm so thankful that Georgia brought JJ's fish out here. If y'all haven't tried JJ's fish, the seasoning on the chicken is amazing. I mean, make sure you diet correctly throughout
You think the Greek freaks, you think they frat. Outside of they frats, they not, man, come on. Ain't nobody said they wanted them. If they outside the frats, or if they got to go into these churches where it's controlled environments for anybody to be talking about they want Trump. I mean they want Kamala. We have seen normal black people in the streets everywhere talking about Trump. Want regular people. That's why CNN, MSNBC, they will not do this. They're not doing this. They will have a controlled environment. Well, even in controlled environment, they tried it in the barbershop and they start saying Trump. They're like, damn, man, we got to go take us to your sorority. So then the sorority people now yelling for Kamala. But this is regular black people, man. And they do not want to have nothing with these people. So all that enthusiasm in the black community. Well, I'm in the black community right now. Do I got to go talk to some on live? They don't want her. That is a lie. I haven't met one. I swear to God. I'm not going to sit there and lie. I haven't met one person who want Kamala Harris. Not one. I haven't met him.
The week before you hide it. And if you don't, it'll definitely detox you after the fact. But I promise. Oh, and they also got some really, really good lemonade. Back to the video.
I'm a Trump supporter, man. We gonna keep this going. Trump, he a real businessman. I'm a real Republican, man. I want Trump back in office second term.
What would be your message to Barack Obama?
Oh, pump some money in here. Pump some money like Trump, you know?
Your message to Donald Trump.
Come on, man. Get us to the Super Bowl, bro.
Come on, man. It's regular black people,
great,
man.
That's all I can say. Make America great.
Everyone's so friendly around here.
Yeah.
Everyone's so friendly around here.
It's all over, man. It's overthrow of the Greek freaks. They done.
I need chain game like this. Here we go. Here we go.
What's up, my
The
guy?
Greek freaks scared to come to the neighborhood. They scared to come. The Greek freaks is scared to come in our neighborhood. Look at that white man all in the neighborhood. And the people, we talking politics. Man, it's a new day, man. We want to talk finance. We want to talk business. We want to talk about a better way, a better life, clean up the neighborhood. We're tired of the fentanyl pushing, the date rape. We're tired of the migrants. See, that migrant stuff fucked them up, changed everything. But when did the Greek freaks? I haven't seen none of them. When the fraternity? Why y'all asking us who do we want? They too scared. And this looks like a rough neighborhood. Yeah, I know it is. Greek freak, get the hell out.
Off a bag in the hood. Who we want to get the bag? Y'all know we gonna need Trump in that joint. Y'all know we gonna need Trump in that joint. Y'all got to dig what's going on, man.
Yeah, I'm taking over Benny Show, man. It's Odie, man. I'm a YouTuber, man. Y'all get at me, man. But everything Trump over on this side of town.
Man, come on, man.
I ain't gonna lie to you. You go ahead with it. You see how dry this motherfucker is? We need Trump, boy. Whatever it's gonna do to make this flow back, man. Get it up. Let's get it going immediately, man.
Other black people you see saying they want Kamala, they got paid. These black people they ain't getting paid to say this. They saying the truth so they can get paid in life. Better job and economic opportunities. That's why these brothers saying this. Democrats, they gotta pay people to say they want Kamala. That's a damn shame. Then they bring Obama out. Now they find out. Keep on sticking that camera in people's face about how you feel about Obama. Oh, he ain't black. He a Kenyan scammer. He was born in Hawaii. They like, oh shit, yes, that's what y'all want. Let's go there. Let's go there.
Benny, who you going for, Benny?
My president is making America great again.
Hey, you talking about Michael? Hey, I don't know if I want the first transgender president. Are we really ready for a transgender president? Huh? Is that what they trying to pull?
That's what I'm talking about, man.
Amazing.
Job with you, man.
I love Chicago.
It's my long lost twin, man. Separated at birth, man.
Better tattoos, better style, better hair.
We both good looking though, man. That's all that count, man.
Better teeth and a better ride. All right.
You see the streets, they want Trump back, man. They want Trump back. And Obama, I don't think that they did their job effectively of trying to convert us back to propaganda, media-induced zombies, because that's exactly what they're trying to do. We won't go back. I'm chanting that. I'm taking y'all chanting, using it against y'all. I didn't want to spend no hope.
Obama a sucker, man. I never liked that nigga went to that church. Them black people got killed in that church. I ain't like that nigga come down there singing Amazing Grace. That really pissed me off because I knew the truth, you see. That dude never in his life, and that's a dear song to our people, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound. You don't play with that, you know. That's a very spiritual, that's one of our spiritual great songs. He's singing that, and I'm knowing it's all a scam on black people. He's trying to show some Amazing Grace. Nigga, you grew up in Indonesia, nigga. You ain't never sung, you grew up in a madrash. Boy, you a Muslim. You ain't never sung no Amazing Grace. You grew up with your mama, she white people. Never. See, that's what we got to put in and all this type of nonsense, man. They see they energy vampires. When you get to playing with our ancestral spirit, they stealing our energy like that.
All right, y'all. I'm back with another video. So we know they just had the Democratic National Convention in which they used Michelle Obama to strategically speak negative against Donald Trump because Kamala Harris is losing steam.
Why did they call her Michelle? Why did her mama die and say she's leaving everything to her oldest son Michael? Did her mama make a mistake in the documents and put Michael when it really supposed to be Michelle? Damn, you could make legal mistakes like that?
With the black voters. They have tried to use race politics. They have tried to do everything to pander to the black community. And since a lot of us is not falling for the okie doke, they had to use Michelle Obama to try to get the steam back on Kamala Harris's side. Watch this, y'all.
America, hope is making a comeback.
Damn. Look at all them white people. They done made it. They rich. They say they ain't worried, but they laughing at us. Ha! The niggas think it's gonna be some hope. All them black people, they hope. All right, hope. You ain't hope. No, we don't want none of that. You listen. You can't hope you get something to eat tonight. That don't work. No way can you look at your kids and say, "Man, I hope there should be some food on the table tonight." That's disgusting. Daddy, can you protect us? Well, I hope so. What? Punk? But that's what Michelle just told us. Hope is back, y'all. We don't want no hope. Hell wrong with you?
Now, unfortunately, we know what comes next. We know folks are going to do everything they can to distort her truth. My husband and I sadly know a little something about this. For years, Donald Trump did everything in his power to try to make people fear us. See, his limited, narrow view of the world made him feel threatened by the existence of two hardworking, highly educated, successful people who happen to be black.
Now, see, she had to throw the who happen to be black in there. There they go again, race baiting. Here they go.
Revolutionary salute to our brother Adrian for the donation to the war chest. Revolution is a way of life. I absolutely appreciate the love, family. Salute.
Again, race baiting, trying to use race to bring Donald Trump down.
Yeah,
was Donald Trump against black people when he took his jet to go pick up Nelson Mandela when he was released from prison? Was Donald Trump racist when he pardoned Lil Wayne from going to prison? Was Donald Trump racist when he pardoned Kodak Black from going to prison? Was Donald Trump racist when Jennifer Hudson's family was unalive?
The First Step Act was. It's not to forget the celebrities. What about the regular people he pardoned with the First Step Act? Obama couldn't pardon them. Joe Biden locked him up. Listen. This is all about Joe Biden and Kamala locking him up. Then Donald Trump released them. That's this all about. Joe Biden, you locked him up. Kamala, you locked him up. Didn't want to let innocent people free. Tried to keep him in there because you wanted slave labor. Donald Trump did the First Step Act, released a lot of black people. That's not racist.
Donald Trump flew her and her family to the Trump Towers and put them up in the Trump Towers for 6 months, rent free. Was Donald Trump racist when he was loaning all of this money to these black celebrities, helping these celebrities start businesses and giving them loans and not asking for the money back? No, they're just mad right now because Donald Trump is winning in the polls, and I can prove it to you. Watch this. Donald Trump is winning in the polls, and this was just last week. As we can see, Donald Trump is up 4% on Kamala Harris. All right. And he's gaining a lot of steam.
Today he's up in the polls. Today he's up. They're lying. He's up everywhere.
Within the black community. People are not falling for the okie doke anymore. So now they have to use people like Michelle Obama and all these other people in order to pander to the black community so they can get the steam back on Kamala Harris's side.
I'm voting for Joe Biden because of all of the great things he did for Black America in just 3 years. He funded an executive order to research why Black women have a higher mortality rate during childbirth. He funded opportunity zones in minority neighborhoods so that more Black and brown people can create small businesses. He passed prison reform that reversed unjust sentences, and over 5,000 Black men were released from prison. He historically funded the HBCUs more than any other president before him. He invited hundreds of Black people to the White House and had them pray over him. And that's why I'm voting for Joe Biden 2024. Oh, wait, that was President Trump. Joe Biden just funds wars.
Listen, man, we're not stupid. We understand.
I knew that must have been. I first said, "Whoa, they trying to rip Trump." That's Trump did all that stuff for black people. That whole laundry list. That wasn't no Joe Biden. You kidding me? Joe Biden for do nothing for y'all? Yeah, hell no, Joe. That's too long of a list for black people. I knew that was a lie. That's Trump list of shit he done did for us, man.
What's going on? We understand this election. We understand how important it is for America. And at this point, it's no longer about race. It's about policy. It's about the policies that's going to benefit all Americans and push this country forward. That's what it's about. Make sure y'all stay tuned in for the next video. Peace.
Y'all, they can't continue their lies anymore. They're not popular like they said they would. We proving all that, man. They don't got no clout, man. Man, them people ain't got no clout. You see them on social media. They got fake subscribers. They paying for likes and views. Nobody like them anymore. They they dog don't even like them. Their kids don't even like them. The boule. I mean, this is really destroying the boule, and that's real good. They've been in the dark for way too long. This bringing them into the light.
National convention is going on right now, but there is one Democrat who is not happy about this convention.
New Yorkers are angry. And so when you're angry, who you take it out on? The mayor. That's the script.
They got this dude by the testicles right now. Now remember, they was calling him the Black Trump for a minute, Eric Adams. And why? Because he was going crazy about the migrants. And he was coming down hard on the migrants, and he was talking about Joe Biden and them had betrayed New York and was Next thing you know, the FBI was raiding his offices, raiding his workers, charging him with saying he had something to do with some dirty ties in Egypt. He's under federal investigation from the Biden Justice Department right now. Him, Eric Adams. So he got to walk a real thin line. Why? Because black people in Puerto Rico, a lot of people in New York is pissed at the migrant situation. Even the brown people over there, that Spanish, this was so crazy. The Spanish people, they don't want new Spanish people because they're going to lose out. Everybody knows that they even get replaced. And Trump could have flipped New York red. That would be a catastrophe for the Democrats.
Yeah, you.
This guy's giving me a New York wave. I can walk down the block. Some give me the thumbs up and others give me another finger, But that's New Yorkers. I wake up in the morning at some time and look at myself and I give myself the finger. I'm immune to hecklers. I've been heckled all my life. Okay, see you later. We'll have a few disruptions as we go on. All my haters become my waiters when I sit down at the table of success. Thank you. she said I'm messing with homeless people. You know that? You know, one should be happy if someone wants to make love to them. I am socially awkward.
You are.
Yes.
Look who we have here. New York City Mayor Eric Adams goes to DNC without speaking spot in snub. This is a slap in the face. So it looks like Mayor Adams is not happy about him being passed over to speak at this year's convention. As we know, AOC, she spoke in there. There's a lot of other Democrats that are slated to speak there. I think even the governor, Kathy Hochul of New York, is going to speak. But for some reason, they just don't want Eric Adams. But I bet he doesn't realize it's how he's handled the migrant crisis that is in New York City, which is actually not his fault because they are a right to shelter city. And that's what the voters wanted. So that's what they're getting, even though right now they have spent $5 billion and it can double by next year.
$12 billion, Steve and Natasha. That's how much the city estimates it will have spent on the migrant crisis by 2025. Now, just a few months ago, the city was estimating it would spend only about $4 billion by next year. Now they're estimating it's going to cost about $4 billion every single year. Just last week, more than 29.
And that's just a damn scam they run on us, because guess what? You got to house the migrants, so they getting a cut off for that. You know, you got to get these government contracts, people getting kidnapped, kickbacks. You got to give them toothpaste, shampoo, toilet paper, tampons, all this shit. Well, you got to get government contracts for that. This is a big scam. And guess what? We're paying for all this. And I want you to know one thing, it's not just about what the migrants are getting. Okay, that's cool. It's about what these government contracts that's getting passed around. This shit ain't for free. You're not making this stuff. They're not going to local business people to feed the migrants and house them and give them the clothes and shit like that. They got their own contract. This is a goddamn scandal within itself, man. They are enriching themselves and then really just destroying us at the same time.
900 migrants arrived here in the city.
The crisis spilling into the largest school system in America. More than 1 million children returning to class today, with 20,000 new students from families seeking asylum. The school system getting another $110 million to the budget, but there are worries that resources will still be stretched to the limit. The city's shelter system stretched past its capacity this summer. At one point, more migrants in city shelters than homeless Americans. Some asylum seekers were able to get beds inside hotels, while others slept on the streets outside.
Eric Adams will be heading to the 2024 Democratic National Convention in Chicago, despite not being offered a coveted speaker spot, a snub for the Dem mayor of the nation's largest city, Political Insider said. What's crazy is that they've had Mayor Brandon Johnson, who is the mayor of Chicago, where the DNC, where the convention is being held, but he also has gotten, completely tore apart by the citizens there in Chicago over his handling of the migrant crisis. But I guess because it's his city, they went ahead and put him up there. But Mayor Adams doesn't get the same treatment. The Windy City cold shoulder awaiting Adams, who will visit the DNC Wednesday and Thursday, is Democratic Puba's revenge for the mayor bucking President Biden on the migrant crisis, as well as potential concern over a federal corruption probe swirling around City Hall, sources said. So a lot of people don't know about this, but Mayor Adams is being investigated by the FBI.
The FBI confirming for us today that they did raid the home behind me, which records show belonged to
But they didn't raid him until he booked them on the migrant crisis. That is what you got to understand. He booked Biden on the migrant crisis. They start calling him the Black Trump. When they start calling him that, they say, he might make when they start calling that type of shit, you can make a presidential run. You might get picked up as a VP. They say, okay, we finna dirty him up. Then he got raided.
Winnie Greco. Now, Greco is director of Asian Affairs and also a top advisor to Mayor Eric Adams. An Adams spokesperson telling us tonight that the mayor has not been contacted by the FBI on this matter as of today.
Significant development in the corruption investigation into Mayor Eric Adams' 2021 campaign. Federal prosecutors subpoenaed the mayor last month, requesting more information in a probe we first learned about 9 months ago.
Christine, this is what they said Trump would do. Sick the Justice Department on his political enemies, man. These people disgusting, man. This is what they said Trump would do. This man bucked Biden, and then the FBI raided him. That's a dictatorship. Kamala Harris, what happened? Gabby, what's her name? What's that lady name? Gabby, the young lady, Tabby Gifford. What? Not that in her name. Well, she beat her in the debate, exposed her. Then they put her on the terrorist watch list. That is targeting your political enemies.
These 3 new subpoenas, first reported by the New York Times, come some 9 months after we first learned an investigation was underway. That's when agents with a warrant actually stopped the mayor and seized his cell phone. Tonight, the mayor's office confirms the new subpoenas and says it expects everyone to cooperate with the investigation. The mayor, City Hall, and his election committee were hit with the subpoenas last month. It concerns a wide range of information, including travel by the mayor and his aides. It's believed the feds have been searching for documents, text messages, and other materials in the ongoing corruption probe.
This is a snub. This is a slap in the face, said Hank Shankpoff, a Dem political consultant who worked on Bill Clinton's re-election campaign. This is a Black woman who could become the president of the United States, the source said. This is big. This is an Obama moment, and the mayor can't even get FaceTime. Ouch. Sometimes someone is trying to F him. Who? Why? What? Have you seen? Oh, they mean the other. Okay, they want to screw up his political career. Okay, got it. Nothing. The source added, someone doesn't want another 4 years of Adams. I think a lot of people don't want another 4 years of Adams, but the thing is, they're going to vote somebody in who's the same way. So I'm not sure what's the point of getting rid of him where you're just going to trade it in for somebody that's probably going to be worse. That's what New York seems to do over and over. Other insiders also told the Post that Adams, who once declared himself the Biden of Brooklyn, what? Okay. Before the president excluded him from his campaign. Ooh. It is clear persona non grata among Democrats. That's right. Biden leaves Eric Adams off campaign leadership team, but includes other New York Dems like Governor Hochul. The apparent snub had many wondering if Adams' criticism over Biden's handling of the migrant crisis was the reason he did not make the panel.
We start tonight with New York City at a potential breaking point. We have been following the story, as you know, for months. Tens of thousands of migrants arriving from Central and South America and West Africa, straining city resources. We got here tonight because of what the mayor said over the last 24 hours, and we want to walk you through all of this. The mayor saying the crisis, quote, will destroy New York City, unleashing his frustrations with a fury we haven't seen before. Targeting the White House and governors, busing migrants to sanctuary cities, even calling the Texas governor, Greg Abbott, a madman. The White House responding tonight, defending their records, helping cities across the country.
Let me tell you something, New Yorkers.
The migrant crisis taking on a new tone.
Never in my life have I had a problem that I did not see an ending to. I don't see an ending to this. I don't see an ending to this. This issue will destroy New York City.
A drastic shift from the message Adams first had for incoming migrants.
Lady Liberty sits in our harbor. New York City is the welcoming mat for the entire globe.
The message is, don't criticize an incumbent Democratic president. Well, he's not the incumbent anymore. Seems like Biden had a very big head on his shoulders and didn't want to take criticism from within his own party. Maybe that's why, they had to basically push him off a cliff to get him out. But let's continue. And don't criticize the first Black female vice president. Any criticism from a Democrat heading into re-election is seen as betrayal. How do those knives feel now? Oh, Joe. Two prominent Black mayors, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, whose city bested the Big Apple, and Atlanta in a contest to host the DNC, and Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass landed speaker roles. Even New York's unpopular governor, Kathy Hochul, was given a speaking role on Monday night, as was controversial progressive Bronx and Queens rep AOC. Socialist AOC and Governor Hochul got speaking slots, not the spokesman for Urban America, Shankpoff said. They punished him for throwing the stink bomb back in their lap, the migrant crisis. And then the subpoenas. Adams' team was also conspicuous in its absence, especially as Hochul and City Comptroller Brad Lander, who is eyeing to run for mayor, he has a challenger already, have been bouncing around the convention along with other New York polls. That means politicians. Sources said Al Sharpton, an Adams ally who was at the convention, declined comment on the apparent snub against the mayor. Even Al Sharpton is putting the knife in his back. Well, if they're going to put the knife in Biden's back, of course they're going to put it in what? Eric Adams? He's a nobody compared to Biden. He did hint that some speakers have yet to be announced, raising the potential that Adams could be hastily penciled in as a speaker and a face-saving gesture, which I could see them trying to do that if this made enough noise. But does Eric Adams have any fans? I don't. There's a huge growing number of people who just love Eric Adams, who will protest and go off and are going to force the DNC to put him on stage? I don't think so. Adams is scheduled to appear on Wednesday at a big city mayor's panel hosted by Politico and CNN Wednesday. He will also speak at a caucus breakfast Thursday, according to his schedule. They put him in the 7 a.m. muffin continental breakfast slot. They tried to downplay the apparent snub during a Tuesday news conference, calling himself a soldier for Harris's election who is not on an ego trip. This is the greatest city on the globe. That's its role, he told reporters from City Hall. I'm going to the DNC tomorrow and will get my assignment. Oh, he's making sure he's getting his assignment. Okay. He said he had not asked for a speaking role on the convention floor. He's making it like if he asked, then it'll be granted. But I just haven't asked, I really need to speak there. Trust me, there's some sharp elbows. A lot of people would like to be up on that stage, he said. I don't want to add to that complication. I told you. Listen, there's a lot of people trying to speak at the DNC. I don't really need to. They really want me to, but I just, I could let other people have their chance to shine in front of the entire party, in front of millions of people. I don't need that type of publicity. Okay. A source close to Adams' chief advisor, Ingrid Lewis-Martin, chimed in, there's no snubbing of the mayor. He's well regarded by the party. Sure, Ingrid. A source close to Adams said that despite the administration's mistakes on migrants, which he warned them would hurt the party with working class voters, the mayor sees the Harris candidacy as a reset, as a replacement, like the Manchurian candidate. Okay. Adams has had friendly conversations with the campaign about building support after the election. He expects to play a prominent role in getting her elected going forward, the source said. There you go. Eric Adams had to deal with the migrant crisis because New York City has a right to shelter law, and
Eric Adams begging them to shine their shoes, asking them, do anybody need their shoes shined? Tell them, please do not leave the DNC without giving him opportunity to buff, shine. That's disgusting. Biden just put him in his place, and he begging, please. I want my job. What can I do? You know what you can do. Nigga, grab that rag over there, boy, and buff.
The Democratic National Convention has arrived, so we have to cover some of this super serious, hard-hitting analysis. But first of all of you people who are complaining that Kamala Harris isn't going to be better than Joe Biden on Palestine. AOC wants you to know she is working round the clock for a ceasefire.
She is working tirelessly to secure a ceasefire in Gaza and bringing hostages home.
And we honestly have no choice to believe her, because what better way to assure a permanent ceasefire than to give Israel $24 billion in more military aid to make sure they can just completely wipe Palestinians off the face of the planet, because that's definitely a surefire way to make sure that there is no more firing if they can't fire back, right? And of course, Joe Biden had to step in and remind everybody why the hell he had to step out to begin with, because, you know, him and teleprompters don't really have a good relationship. So while he was reading the teleprompter, he reminded us that women are now without electrical.
Quote, women are not without electrical, not without electoral or political power. No kidding.
That might be a Democratic Party inside joke, because they actually started cheering for him, and we're just stuck here trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. But sure, there was no real discussion about genuine, tangible policies. There was no real discussion about the state of the United States economy, and rather the economy of the rest of the world that is kind of suffering because of the United States. But everybody wanted to assure you that there was a lot of joy in the room.
Thank you for bringing back the joy. He does it all with a sense of joy.
You do not need to be afraid of the future. There is joy in the future. There is joy in having your boss be a black woman.
It's charisma. It's the joy. A positive campaign that focuses, as she said, on the future, that is about joy.
Yesterday. That's what's so disgusting. It's programming. They're trying to program you, because when they think of joy, they're trying to explain to you why she always laughing and giggling. Oh, it's because she's bringing joy. No, it's because she's out of her damn mind. She's a deranged, psychopathic, lunatic, narcissistic, vindictive, crazy lady, Indian lady. So we got to deal with this. She's laughing when she's locking people up and tearing families apart and all that type of shit, man. This ain't got nothing to do with no damn joy.
Yesterday, what you saw is joy.
Joy.
The joy.
Joy.
And Joyanne Reed in particular wanted to let you guys know there were people so joyful that they were dancing. They're just celebrating this transition into a joyous presidency and joy.
Sitting in this room, in this space, that is such a joyful space tonight. Exuberance, joy. I think Democrats today, they feel a kind of joy and a kind of relief. There's a sense that it'll be a fight, but it'll be a joyous fight now. It won't be a slog.
People clapping joyfully and dancing and singing joyfully. Yeah, that's basically the policy platform for Kamala and the Democrats. That's basically what I got from that. I don't know how the fuck y'all gonna use joy to pay y'all high-ass electric bills and pay for this $3.70 gas. Also, Jen Psaki wanted to let you all know how diverse the room was as he sat at a panel full of fucking white people.
Just watching tonight, the diversity of the faces, the youth in the room, the diversity of people's backgrounds is so striking and different from a couple of weeks ago.
I'm also not sure how that's going to help y'all pay y'all bills or what that's reference to.
I can guarantee you, a lady like that disgusts me, because that's one of the Democrats I'm talking to about. I can guarantee you she don't want no black people, no illegal staying next door to her, and I guarantee you none of them do. But she used that as a hustle, the diversity. You don't want that in your neighborhood, ma'am.
Could be a reference to the diverse population of people who have been negatively impacted by all of Kamala's policies as a DA, an attorney general, and a vice president. That could be it. I don't know what the fuck diversity means in this situation, but yay for black people being able to buy tickets to a convention. Now, there was one brave soul in the MSNBC panel who had the audacity to suggest that eventually people are probably going to want to hear about her policies, considering they're at the Democratic National Convention and she still doesn't have a single policy listed on her website. Yeah, but they just looked at dude like he was crazy, because why ruin a good campaign with actionable policy? So to summarize all of this, the Democrats spent about $200 million more or less on this convention to throw a big ass party for Kamala Harris. And judging by the way things are looking right now, You won't know any more about her nor her policies by the end of this convention as you did before this convention started. The U.S. is truly and royally fucked. But y'all let me know when y'all
going on with the migrant crisis here in Chicago. So I will tell you right now, I'm a person that lives on the south side of Chicago, and the migrants that have come in, at one point they were coming in, we were feeling very sorry for them because they came in at a time where the weather was cold. So we're seeing all these people in tents and all this and that. But then we find out that they're getting $15,000 in food stamps, $5,000 in cash. I work for a company, which I will not say, that they're able to come in and they're able to get internet and Wi-Fi and all of this for free because guess what? The government are paying their rent for 2 years. Why is the government paying people that came from another country rent for 2 years? Can we explain that? Because it's a housing crisis right now with multiple homeless people on the streets right now that I could follow and show you homeless people that's been living on the streets. So what makes the migrants better from coming to another country that they get all of this? Do you know why? I'm going to say why. Because we're about to have another presidential election. So if we make these migrants democratic and we give them the right to vote and we give them all of these things, they're going to vote. And then boom. I'm a Trump supporter, by the way.
She ain't lying. She ain't lying. That is the Democrats' plan. Get a new voting base because we're no longer interested in doing what's right for the people. We're going to put on a good charades for a while until we no longer have to. Then you'll see who we actually are. Well, for those that don't already see who we actually are. But yeah, I believe that that's 1,000% their plan. Bring in the illegals. The illegals have a much lower standard of living. We don't have to do a whole lot for them, but give them housing and, some food stamps. And they're all just going to come vote for us. So, yeah. I got one of those videos today. One of those, there's more. Because, the narrative is being pushed that Trump isn't very popular amongst black people. Now, am I saying Trump is going to get a majority of black people to vote Republican? No. Nobody even could. Not even when Biden was running did anybody think a majority of black people were going to vote Republican. Like, what I was saying personally is I thought about 30% would vote Republican. To be completely honest, I feel like that's come down just a touch. And I think it'll end up probably at about the 25% area, which is still huge. Huge. And Kamala's going to be down into like the lower 70s in terms of black support, which is that's big as well, considering black people have historically voted Democrat at a 90% clip. That's a major drop off and a big gain for Republicans. And I feel like after Trump leaves office, that is only going to increase. But I won't talk too much because I got a lot of videos to get into. With that being said, let's dive in.
I hate people who vote for Kamala Harris only because she's black. Are you dumb? Now, on this one, I wouldn't necessarily say I hate you. But if you vote for Kamala Harris, I don't like you. I hate people that don't understand the difference in strength of a woman and a man and think that it's okay for those two to engage in battles. Are you dumb? What if that was your mom or your sister? Are you dumb? I also hate people who think it's okay to take away our firearms. I also hate people who try to cry and say all conservatives and all Republicans are racist. Are there some people that are like that? Hell yeah. Are there some people like that that are Democrats? Hell yeah. But see, that's the funny thing. The Democrats are pimping and pandering, acting like they're not, but really they're the racist ones. Are you dumb? I hate people who are choosing to purposely ignore Kamala Harris's record in regards to black men. Fuck out of here.
You've probably seen a video, an image on the news, on these internet streets somewhere this young woman here. And right here, you have probably seen something about her floating on these internet streets. And I didn't want to have to be the one to say it. I didn't want to have to be the one to tell the truth in this manner, especially after a few of you have sent it to me. But I feel like I have a special connection with you. I owe it to you as someone that I call my friend, as someone that I say I am your sister friend, to come on here and tell you the truth about her. And I hope that you are able to receive this. Don't come and try to fight me in the comments, because we have to be honest with ourselves and each other in this process before this election. So don't come fighting with me, because I don't want to fight. I don't have the energy to fight. All I have the energy to do is share the truth. So you might not like to hear this. And I know that there's some members of a party might not be ready to hear this, but she's not alone. She is not alone. There are a lot of people that look just like her that support Donald J. Trump for president, that believe that he is the right person for the job, that do not support Kamala. You're going to have to come to terms with that. I know it's a hard pill to swallow, but there's a lot of us, like Michaela Montgomery, that are done, that have exited the Democratic plantation. So, yeah, we're going to keep showing up. We are going to keep showing up on screens in front of you, and our people are going to keep sharing it with other people, so that people that look like us and other people can feel confident enough to show up and say, you know what? I don't support that side on the left. I support the right, and I'm proud of it, and I'm not afraid to show up in front of you and tell you that.
Well said. Well said. You know, and you're seeing a lot more of that happen, right? Because a lot more, especially Black folks, are being confident and comfortable speaking out with our support regarding our support for Donald Trump. Because once again, 6 years ago, you wouldn't have seen that. I mean, it was far and few in between. Were there Black people back then that supported Trump? Yeah, but it was, you don't say it, not out loud at least. So yeah, shout out to her, man. Shout out. What is her name actually? I want to give her a shout out. My Greener Pasture. My Greener Pasture is right there on your screen. So if you want to go give her a follow and let her know we love her. Okay. We love the Black sister support Trump. Absolutely. Speak out and be proud. Let's get it.
Don't you dare complain about the price of school shoes and school clothes and church shoes and church hats for the girls if you voted for Biden and now plan on voting for Kamala Heels Up Harris. You deserve all these high prices. It's us who didn't vote for that old, decrepit, and Heels Up Harris. We don't deserve this. You deserve it. You deserve paying all that money. Us parents who did not vote for Biden and is not voting for Kamala Harris, we don't deserve this. Y'all who talk about the inclusion, all y'all need to be paying every high price y'all paying. Stop your crying. You voted for this. This is your fault.
He ain't lying. He is not lying. This is your fault if you continue to vote for these same folks. It's just simple, right? But let's continue on. And this is a very he's pretty well known. He's got thousands upon I think hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram. I can't think of his name. Mr. Organic, I believe is his Instagram handle. Check it out.
With Trump. I'm saying I got rich with Trump. With Trump. I'm saying I got rich with Trump. You know what I'm saying? I'm with the red team anyway, all across the board. You know what I mean? So like, I always with Trump. I did when I was a kid. I like when he used to talk crazy to Rosie O'Donnell. All that. I always liked Trump. Right. Can't tell me what he did wrong to Black people. You niggas are brainwashed and stupid. I still don't know what is y'all talking about. Don't talk about that old Central Park because everybody thought they did it. Right. They got all okay. Sorry, it happens in life. That what else can he name? You know what I'm saying? They really can't. You dumb. So like, Kamala Harris, who like I didn't know this whole 4 years she did nothing good. Right. I'm rolling with the red team, man. Come on, man. And my took a bullet and stood up and said, "Fight on." Right. Who's doing that? It could have been a whole SWAT team knocking them down from up there. That nigga took the bullet here, looked at it and said, fight on. Man, who's doing that?
Come on, man.
That's ready for war.
Well, you know, I say Trump is probably the most blackest president ever.
Always been. Definitely blacker than Barack Obama, white ass.
Come on, man. My nigga got baby mama problems.
Come on, champ.
Come on, man. He got shot.
Come on, man. What?
Come on,
big
man.
felon too now.
Went to jail.
Come on now.
Is that not the blackest
president? Paid off the you know what I'm saying? Stood in the get paid for the and all that. Yeah.
Free Kodak.
Free numerous.
Come on, man.
Pardon Wayne. Free Yak.
Hey, man. I'm for Trump, man. Shout out Trump.
Yeah.
We rocking with Trump, baby. I'm just saying, you know, and like these videos are literally endless. I mean, I could keep going, like literally, like there's more.
There's two things I am not going to be, and that's broke and dumb. These past 4 years, I've been one of those things, steady, and it ain't the latter. Now in 2020, I was both of those things. I was a twofer. But this time, you don't have to worry about me being no twofer. You ain't got to worry about it because I need my problem solved. I'm not focused on making no history. And if that's all you voting for is history, hang it up. The way we trending, we finna be history. The most population to file bankruptcy. I don't care nothing about how you say stuff. I need my problem solved. And if you gonna solve my problem, I'm with you.
That's Trump, baby. That's Trump. Like I said, man, these videos are literally endless. Let's see. Here, I'll end it with this one. I don't want to make this video crazy long, but here, I'll show y'all this one here.
And tell me what appeals to you about Trump.
His business acumen. When Donald Trump was president, we were all doing a lot better financially. He's always been a business icon. So why wouldn't we want that business icon to be president?
And he had this to say about Harris.
I think she hasn't done anything worth mentioning.
What would you have wanted to see Vice President Harris accomplish that she has not?
I would have liked her to kind of bring a calm to the border. The border crisis has gotten out of hand.
Just saying, you know. Let's do one more. Yeah, I'll make this the last one. All right, here, check out this one because I have these like for days. I have a whole lot of these clips that I just come across on a daily basis of black people supporting Trump because I know mainstream media, like I said earlier, tries to make it seem and sound as if nobody black is supporting Donald Trump. Not the case whatsoever. And this video is a testament to that. But let's
guys, is this your first Trump rally?
No, it's not.
It's not. What number is this?
This is our second one.
Second. So you guys are veterans now.
Yes, we are.
Awesome. Where'd you guys come in from?
Wilkes-Barre. We're from here.
Okay, cool. What are some of the things that you've seen here change over the past 3.5 years here in Wilkes-Barre?
High prices, less places to live. The rents went up. There's not enough housing, so if you're looking for a house, it's hard to find a place to rent.
Oh, really? So it's really affected you guys. Any kids, anything like that? Trying to feed? I know as a father myself, it's getting increasingly harder to feed three little mouths. What are the issues that are near and dear to you that you'd like to see addressed?
Definitely the immigration situation, and there's a lot of safety issues. And
safety issues. Tell me more about them.
Well, with the influx of illegals, this area is very unsafe now, and it's not just with how can I put it? It's not just with them being here. It's their lack of respect for the law, like the attitude that I'm an exception, and you have to make you have to let me do what I'm going to do because this is what I'm used to doing. And
so they're basically taking what they were doing in their country, coming here and just living as if, this is their world and laws don't apply to them.
Exactly. A lot of crime, unsafe, disruption, unsanitary. The neighborhoods are just going downhill. And it's terrible. It's like a lot of police calls to the police. And constantly, when they get reported, they're constantly doing the same thing over and over again. You have to keep calling the police and calling police. It's terrible.
The police are overwhelmed. There's a lot of people, a lot of policemen that are retiring and they're not being able to replace them. It's because they're frustrated because they don't seem like the police seem like they can't control the problem.
Yeah, there's more problems than there are police.
Yeah, sad. It's sad, but the Democrat Party would like everyone to believe that they care about the American people and especially Black folks. But I beg to differ. I mean, look what they're doing to Black people in Black communities. I always speak about Chirac, aka Chicago, what they did to the Black people there. Now, I've shown countless videos on that entire situation. As a matter of fact, I have a clip from some Black people in Chicago recently, talking about that and complaining how the Democrats have treated them in Chicago. Can't blame that on Republicans, right? That's all Democrat. Democrats have been running Chicago for nearly 100 years. And it's sad, man. It's sad. The party that panders and we're all for you. It's the Republicans that are racist. Don't give a crap, a rat's what about Black folks. And it shows. It shows. So, yeah, man, I just want to show you guys this.
Party right now.
I say shame on the Democratic Party that can't meet a low moral litmus test of calling genocide into question. You can't deny it. Quit enabling it. There's precious human beings there. And in fact, if you don't do it, it's going to be another sign of your myopia.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Kamala Harris is who you said that the Democratic Party appeared poised to put into that position. You were critical there, obviously, of President Biden's policy. What, if anything, is different? How do you compare yourself to Kamala Harris if she does become the Democratic nominee for president?
Well, I think, Kamala Harris is the party of war. She's a war hawk. The Democratic Party was always the peace party. Kamala Harris is a war hawk on Ukraine. She's a war hawk on China. I think that we should be figuring out ways to coexist with the rest of the world as best we can. Of course, we need to protect our national security. I think she's not going to do anything about the national deficit. I've never heard her speak about the chronic disease epidemic, I think she's a product of the corporate control of our democracy. And she's one of the authors of, in terms of civil rights, she has one of the worst civil rights record of any public official. She's the author of one of the primary authors of the school to prison pipeline. She kept 5,000 people, despite a Supreme Court order that she released 5,000 prisoners of nonviolent drug crimes who were illegally in California jails. She kept them in there saying that we needed them for firefighting and for other public work services. And that's just a modern version of indentured servitude, a modern version of slavery. She was one of the two leading public officials in California, which now has the worst education system, 49th in education outcomes in the country. 50% of the homeless people in our country are in California, and she was behind those policies. Oh, I don't think she has a good, I don't think, in terms of the traditional democratic principles, I don't think she has a credible record.
Hey, welcome back. It's your man Wise, and today we have huge news coming out of the RFK Jr. campaign. But before we dive into that, if there's one thing that I've learned over my 44 years of life, it's that politics is a ruthless game of horse trading. You have to make sure you're getting the most out of every deal. And when someone outlives their usefulness, you toss them to the side faster than last night's cold pizza. Just look at what the Democrats are doing to Joe Biden. They never really liked him. He was just a puppet, a placeholder, someone they could control and manipulate until they found something better. Now that he's become a liability, they're ready to throw him out like yesterday's trash. That's politics, folks. It's ruthless, cold, and all about survival. They used him when it suited their agenda, but now they can't get rid of this guy fast enough. And who have they replaced him with? none other than Comrade Kamala. Harris represents everything that's wrong with this administration. She represents everything that's wrong with the Democratic Party. If you thought things were bad under Biden, you wait until she gets in charge. The gulags, the soup lines, and probably the freaking soup kitchens, the pantries will be empty because everybody and their mama will be there with their hands out. The polls might show her doing better than Biden, but let's not kid ourselves, people. Any lead she has is razor thin and well within the margin of error. This race is going to be tight. And with RFK Jr. and even Cornel West in the mix, things are about to get very interesting. Now let's talk about RFK Jr. and Cornel West for a second. Cornel West is out here making a lot of noise. I don't know if he can pull enough votes to make a significant impact on things, but RFK Jr., who's a real wild card in this race, and he is that no matter how you look at it, the Kennedy name carries a whole heck of a lot of weight, especially with old school Democrats. And any RFK supporters who were already going to jump ship for Kamala, they've already done it. So right now, you got RFK Jr. more likely to pull votes away from Trump than Kamala. Recent polls show that RFK Jr. is siphoning off more voters from Trump than he is from, I guess, Biden-Harris, or now just the Harris campaign or Harris-Walz campaign. In a head-to-head matchup, Trump is leading Harris by just 1 point, but the race tightens to a dead heat when you factor in third-party candidates like RFK Jr. and Cornel West. Right now, Kennedy's polling at about 6% of the vote, which is down from his 15% high last November and even his 10% backing in July. But here's the kicker. More Trump supporters would switch to Kennedy when given the option compared to Harris supporters. And RFK, for his part, hasn't held back in criticizing Biden or the Biden-Harris campaign. He's been on national TV saying that Biden is a bigger threat to democracy than Donald Trump.
Do you really believe that when people talk about the threat to democracy that Trump poses, do you really think that that is an equal evil to Biden?
I mean, listen, I can make the argument that President Biden is a much worse threat to democracy. And the reason for that is President Biden is the first candidate in history, the first president in history that has used the federal agencies to censor political speech, so to censor his opponent. I can say that because I just won a case in the Federal Court of Appeals and now before the Supreme Court that shows that he started censoring not just me. For 37 hours after he took the oath of office, he was censoring me. No president in the country has ever done that. The greatest threat to democracy is not somebody who questions election returns, but a president of the United States who used the power of his office to force the social media companies, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, to open a portal and give access to that portal to the FBI, to the CIA, to the IRS, to CISA, to NIH, to censor his political critics. President Biden, for the first president in history, to use his power over the Secret Service to deny Secret Service protection to one of his political opponents for political reasons. He's weaponizing the federal agencies. Those are really critical threats to democracy.
Trump, of course.
Biden's administration has been using federal agencies to censor political speech. I mean,
all that he just said that she was finna go into Donald Trump. Lady, he just told you Joe Biden was a damn dictator weaponizing the government to step on his political opponents, and they just went on to Trump. That's disgusting. They don't give a damn about what these people doing. Everything they doing, they saying Trump is going to do.
We've never seen this in this country. This is something no other president in history has done. Biden's team has opened up portals for FBI, CIA, IRS, and others to silent dissent on social media. This isn't just wrong. It's just flat out un-American, and it's a complete infringement upon our First Amendment right. This kind of overreach that should terrify anyone who cares about freedom. Here's the latest twist. RFK Jr. is seriously considering dropping out of the 2024 race to join forces with President Donald Trump. This bombshell revelation came straight from his running mate, Nicole Shanahan. Check this out.
My gut tells me right now is that we just have to keep being honest. I got to just keep being honest. I got to keep focusing on what matters the most outside of party lines.
Go to Trump.
I need to focus on a vision that goes beyond November. And if that means that we stay in, and, there's benefits to staying in. If we get over 5% of the vote, we actually establish ourselves as a party. 71% of Americans want a strong third party with a real shot at winning. There's even public funds available if we get over 5% of the vote. So we could get, I think it's like $13.5 million in public funds to keep the party going. And that's, that's worth something. That means that we can position for a real third party election in 2028 where we don't have to go around and spend tens of millions of dollars on ballot access, which means that we can spend all of that time and money campaigning. So, there's two options that we're looking at. And one is staying in, forming that new party, but we run the risk of a Kamala Harris and Waltz presidency because we draw votes from Trump, or we draw somehow more votes from Trump, or we walk away right now and join forces with Donald Trump and we walk away from that and we explain to our base why we're making this decision. Not easy.
Clearly.
Yeah.
This is huge. This would be a game changer. We're talking about preventing a Kamala Waltz presidency that would push this country further down the path of socialism and communism, and honestly, down the path or down this slippery, demonic path that they would like to take us on. This isn't the time for a third-party experiment. Let's just keep it real. This is the time to unite, to destroy the Democrats' communist games and save our freedoms. And it seems like Trump is open to the idea.
Can I ask you about RFK? Because just moments ago, his running mate said that they were considering endorsing you. Have you considered him for a role in the administration, and what role would that be?
Well, we haven't, but I would love that endorsement because I've always liked him.
Would you also consider putting him in the administration?
You're asking me a very unusual question. I haven't been asked that question yet. I like him a lot. I respect him a lot. I probably would if something like that would happen.
Now, obviously, this would be a little strange for traditional Republicans since RFK has a lot of incredibly progressive stances. It also comes a day after he said he would consider putting Elon Musk in the administration. I asked what an administration with two people who a lot of Republicans would not necessarily back would look like. What would he tell Republicans who wouldn't want to vote for that administration? He blew it off. He said that he believes he is smart, that they are smart, that Republicans like him, and it's his decision. But the other thing is that, he really, and I want to point this out, Wolf, we've been talking a lot about this. I asked specifically, in addition to this, what he was doing differently as we see the polls narrowing, as we see this campaign changing. And he said over and over again that he didn't need to change anything, that nothing needed to change, even though he himself acknowledged that the polls are closing. So overall, an interesting conversation.
Very interesting. Thank you very much, Kristen Holmes, reporting for us. Good work.
This could completely change the dynamics of everything. Make a deal and save the country. We can't afford another 4 years of what we have going on right now. We have to make this happen, man. Trump, make this happen. RFK, make this happen. RFK's base is way more in common with Trump than with the Harris Waltz base. It's a bunch of lunatics on that side of things over there. You guys know it. I know it. We've seen the videos of these people. There are some kooky creatures over there. I mean, we're talking about the DNC, who right now, think about this, man. They have a Planned Parenthood bus. They're offering pregnancy terminations and vasectomies for free. People walking around with pregnancy termination pill costumes on. I mean, it is ridiculous. I mean, these people are the true party of death and destruction in this country, man. I mean, it's crazy. And think about it. RFK Jr., he's been going after Big Pharma. He's been calling out the FDA and exposing the deep-rooted corruption within our government for a while. These are the same issues that Trump has been fighting against for years. Honestly, look at what he's been dealing with all year long. Trump's policies on energy, the economy, and foreign affairs, with Kennedy's knowledge on mistakes that were made during COVID, it would be an awesome combination that would be a true threat to the Democratic Party. It would. I would say at that point, if that happens and RFK Jr. joins the Trump team, I think we're all definitely talking about a landslide. I think RFK Jr., he's speaking to a group of Americans who are fed up with the establishment. They're tired of the lies and they're ready for real change. But we all are. They're skeptical of big government. They're sick of crony capitalism. And they see Trump as someone who can actually get things done. But they see it because he proved that he could get things done. When you look at the Trump administration in comparison to what we have going on right now, there's no comparison. Things were a whole heck of a lot better during that time frame. So if RFK Jr. truly cares about the future of this country, if he truly cares about the future of the American people, he'll walk away from his independent bid and join forces with Trump and Vance and get on board, make America great movement. Imagine the power of a Trump RFK alliance. RFK Jr. has been fighting these battles for years. And with Trump by his side, they could finally drain the swamp for real. The reality is that America is divided into four main groups: the far left progressives, the establishment Democrats, and Republicans, and then MAGA. We need a system that represents these divisions. But right now, the third party just isn't a viable option. The Democrats have pushed this country so far left that Republicans, including MAGA and establishment types, can't afford to split. If they did, the far left would steamroll everything and everyone in its way. Where does this leave RFK Jr.? If he truly wants to have impact, his best bet is to join forces with Trump. The polls are close, and Trump might need that extra support to win, especially with the media running cover for Kamala and Tim Walz. Bringing RFK Jr. into the fold wouldn't just be about securing the election. It would be about sending a message that the America First movement is stronger than ever. Let's not forget that Trump's first term was a learning experience for him. I also think that, he came in with the reality TV brashness that we don't see right now. He still is willing to step up and stand up for himself, and defend himself when need be. But he's a whole lot more tame, a whole lot more calm this time around. He definitely made some mistakes, by surrounding himself with swamp creatures, during that first term. But that was his first term in a government position. I think he's learned from those mistakes. He's building a team that can really make a difference in this country. And RFK Jr. could be a key player in that team or on that team, especially on issues like big pharma, free speech, and civil liberty. And the most important part, if he endorses Trump, this could give Trump a whole new narrative. By joining forces with Trump, he wouldn't just be backing a candidate. He'd be uniting all of those who are anti-establishment, all of those who are fed up with the current system, the current economy, and all of those who resonate with his message about inflation and closing down the borders. This would be a powerful move that could shift the entire dynamic of the election. Imagine Trump, Elon, RFK Jr., Vance, Tulsi Gabbard. We're talking unity here, man. I mean, this would be the deep state's worst nightmare. And imagine how beautiful that would be. The election isn't just about Trump. It's about the future of the MAGA movement. Whether Trump wins or loses, there will be a future after him. And we need to make sure that that future is strong. And if RFK Jr. joins Trump's teams, it'll send a clear message that America First is here to stay. So RFK, if you're listening, now's the time. Go ahead and drop out, endorse Trump, and help us take back this daggone country. As my guy Larry Elder would say, we have a country to save. The Democrats have shown you there's no place for you in their party, but there's plenty of room for you in the America First movement.
Last night, the Ukrainian military needed to deliver reinforcements to its troops in the Kursk border region, and wanted to move stealthily at night, but the Mi-28 Night Hunter of the Russian Army Aviation stopped them from doing so. The Russian Defense Ministry released the helicopter combat duty today on August 21, 2024. Night vision and IR devices allowed to effectively attack targets day and night. With guided anti-tank missiles fired and used during sorties, the Mi-28 worked against Kiev's military reserves, burning down targets as shown in the footage. Kiev was badly hit even before their personnel did their job. Even in one action, the Russian attack helicopters would turn fantasy into the worst nightmare. The crews of Russian helicopters are tireless. The Mi-28 all-weather anti-armor attack helicopter continuously carry out unstoppable airstrikes, especially in recent days, which forced Ukraine together with its Western partners to suffer heavy losses on the border. Daily targeted strikes on Ukrainian personnel and materiel concentrated on the border, and aircraft returned to base after using aviation weapons. As reported by the Russian Marines yesterday on August 20th, Ukrainian personnel and Western armored hardware columns were destroyed near Koronivo. Allegedly, dozens of vehicles including 2 Stryker and 1 Kozak armored personnel carriers, 1 Canadian-made Rochelle SARV armored fighting vehicle, 1 Cougar mine-resistant vehicle, and 1 Humvee armored vehicle were destroyed or damaged in one helicopter action. Several Ukrainian servicemen from the 82nd Separate Air Assault Brigade were captured. In Kursk, which was led by Western units to cross the Russian border zone earlier this month, flight crews on helicopters, mainly Ka-52, Mi-28 and Mi-35, daily support servicemen by conducting strikes on manpower, armored, and motorized convoys of the armed forces of Ukraine. The Russian aerospace forces also carry out missions involving search and rescue teams, including fire support groups and paramedics, evacuation and transportation of pilots to military health facilities. Important update: until August 20, 2024, in the Kursk region, Russian Marines from the 810th Brigade of the Russian Black Sea Fleet continue to repel Ukrainians in the settlement of Olgovka when trying to attack through Koronivo, and were surprised at the end. Russian military correspondents report directly from the settlement, which is located close to the combat zone, where for about a week, the battle for Olgovka has not stopped. Ukrainians, with armored vehicles, tried to neutralize Russian troops, constantly attacking. But the Russian Marines conducted fierce street battles, repelling attacks and driving them back, destroying militants along with their military equipment. Videos of Russian FPV kamikaze drone attacks on Ukrainian vehicles are a daily occurrence, such as the armored vehicle that was destroyed near Olgovka, a few hundred meters from Koronivo.
Praying for Birmingham.
Ukraine actively used infantry fighting vehicles, trying to evacuate its personnel after a series of unsuccessful attempts to expand their flank, which tried to attack in the other direction, attacking Koronivo. Unfortunately, they did not manage to break through. This attempt was successfully stopped by the Russian Marines. Due to effective reconnaissance and coordination of actions, the vehicle was quickly detected, and then processed by artillery fire. As a result of the pinpoint strike, all Kiev equipment and personnel inside were completely destroyed. Most pro-Ukrainian channels claim that Ukrainian troops are now standing in Koronivo, but the map detects a falsity in this information. Ukrainian troops were unable to compensate for the lag in combat skills of their infantry, compared to the Russian Marines from the 810th Brigade. A large group of saboteurs and scouts consisting of 19 men again became prisoners of war near Olgovka. They were members of the 22nd Separate Mechanized Brigade of the Ukrainian Army, which regularly ends up in Russian captivity. Meanwhile, 5 other Ukrainians even expressed gratitude to the Russian soldiers after they were taken prisoner.
Oh, they thankful now, huh? Or they want to thank Putin now they captured, right? Nah, now it's Mr. Putin. Oh, y'all boys playing with Russia. Y'all going to the Siberian prison camps. Hard labor. Y'all never see them people again, man. Everybody get captured in Russia, they're never going. Your ass ain't getting negotiated. You ain't getting traded back. Nope. Going to Siberia. What?
A few minutes ago, representatives of the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service officially announced that the operation of the armed forces of Ukraine to attack the Kursk region was developed and carried out with the help of 3 NATO countries. It is reported that the decision to invade the Kursk region by the armed forces of Ukraine was made by NATO countries against the backdrop of the failure of the Ukrainian army on the battlefield. According to the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service, the plan for the invasion of the Kursk region was prepared by the special services of Poland, Britain, and the United States. As it turned out, a week before the attack on the Kursk region, the Americans handed over to the Ukrainian General Staff all intelligence information regarding the defense lines of the Russian armed forces in the Kursk and Belgorod regions. At the same time, Poland and Britain continued to train units of the armed forces of Ukraine in their training centers. The Russian Foreign Intelligence Service claims that the units of the armed forces of Ukraine that attacked the Kursk region also received training in Germany. We have irrefutable evidence that it was Britain, Poland, and the United States that pushed Kiev to launch an invasion of the Kursk region. All units of the armed forces of Ukraine attacking the Kursk region received special training in Britain, Poland, and Germany. Moreover, these NATO countries, including the United States, are actively controlling the units of the armed forces of Ukraine in the Kursk region. These NATO countries not only help Ukrainians to operate complex Western weapons systems, but also strengthen units of the armed forces with so-called private military companies, which include former and current soldiers and officers of NATO armies. At the moment, U.S. reconnaissance satellites are actively providing intelligence to Ukrainian army units located in the Kursk region, the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service said.
Salute, Quinn.
At the same time, it is worth noting that it is Britain that continues to be overly active in destabilizing the situation in Ukraine. Moreover, it is reported that it was London that once again prevented Kiev from starting negotiations with Moscow and putting an end to this bloody war, which has already claimed the lives of almost 1 million Ukrainian soldiers. In particular, the Russian ambassador to Britain, Andrei Kalina, officially stated that all sabotage operations of the armed forces of Ukraine are being developed by the British military. In addition, the Russian ambassador confirmed that there are about 1,000 British citizens in Ukraine who are fighting on the side of the armed forces of Ukraine. At the same time, the Russian diplomat acknowledged that the Kiev authorities are under the full influence of London. Against this backdrop, former Russian president and current deputy chairman of the Russian Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev, made a rather unflattering statement about former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson and in particular London. According to him, this is the second time London has prevented its vassals in Kiev from concluding a peace treaty with Russia. In 2022, it was Boris Johnson who did not allow Kiev to conclude a peace treaty with Moscow on very lenient terms, thereby provoking a bloody war that has already claimed almost 1 million lives of Ukrainian soldiers. And now, in 2024, when Kiev wanted to agree to sign a peace treaty on the terms proposed by Vladimir Putin, London once again forbade Ukraine from making peace with Russia. Dmitry Medvedev noted that it was London that became the main developer and sponsor of the terrorist attack of the armed forces of Ukraine on the Kursk region, as a result of which Ukraine has already lost more than 5,000 soldiers and hundreds of expensive equipment. According to Dmitry Medvedev, the events in the Kursk region prove that any negotiations with the Kiev authorities are meaningless, since they are fully under the control of their Western masters. Against this backdrop, Dmitry Medvedev officially stated that Russia would no longer conduct any negotiations with Ukraine, and would not stop until the complete defeat of the Kiev regime. Meanwhile, the situation of the armed forces of Ukraine in the Kursk region continues to deteriorate rapidly. According to the commander of Spetsnaz Akhmat, General Abdialadanov, the armed forces of Ukraine continues to suffer heavy losses in manpower and equipment. At the same time, he noted that some units of the armed forces of Ukraine are still trying to break through the Russian defense. However, suffering heavy losses, they are retreating in certain sectors of the front. I officially declare that the situation in the Kursk region is under the full control of Russian troops. At the moment, the enemy is regrouping its forces to carry out another attempt to break through the Russian defense. Based on the composite analysis, we have an approximate idea of exactly where the enemy will try to strike. Our troops are in full combat readiness, General Abdialadanov said. War correspondents also confirmed the heavy losses of the armed forces of Ukraine in the Kursk region. According to them, over the past 24 hours, the armed forces of Ukraine have made 2 attempts to break through in the area of Komarovka and Algovka, in order to reach the settlement of Koronivo and gain a foothold there. However, all these attempts by the armed forces of Ukraine turned out to be a failure. It is reported that the Ukrainian army units suffered heavy losses in manpower and equipment, and were forced to retreat. War correspondents also noted that Western military equipment and weapons systems continue to arrive in the Kursk region against the backdrop of heavy losses of the armed forces of Ukraine, which indicates that NATO countries are fully involved in what is happening in this Russian region. Against this backdrop, I would like to draw your attention to a series of regular attacks on NATO facilities in Western countries. In particular, over the past 48 hours, in Poland, fires were recorded at several facilities, where various weapons systems for the armed forces of Ukraine were stored. Moreover, yesterday, in the southern part of Poland, near the village of Duza Moroka, 3 trucks carrying mortar charges, helmets, armored vests, and dozens of boxes of bullets for the armed forces of Ukraine were also destroyed. It is reported that these trucks were completely destroyed as a result of arson. At the same time, it should be noted that the day before, not far from the Romanian city of Brașov, flames engulfed a local arms depot, where missiles for multiple launch rocket systems, drones, medicines, and night vision devices were stored. It is reported that all these weapons systems were intended for the armed forces of Ukraine. At the same time, it is worth noting that since the beginning of this year, such cases in Western countries have increased rapidly. In the last 4 or 5 months alone, dozens of armories and several weapons factories that worked for the needs of the armed forces of Ukraine have burned down in Britain, the United States, Germany.
In the United States, we covered one of those stories. I forgot which state it was in, where one of our weapons manufacturing facilities where we made shells that Ukraine desperately need to fight the war, that factory was set on fire and blown up. This is sabotage units, and it can't be anybody except the Russians are paying somebody to do that inside America. But they're doing that all over in NATO countries, and they don't even put this on the news. They try to bury it.
Poland and Romania.
It's going to get worse.
It is reported that this is the work of Russian saboteurs, who are actively assisted by citizens of European countries and the United States. At the same time, experts express confidence that over time, the cases of destruction of NATO facilities on the territory of Western countries will only increase.
Introduced them to you was a young hopeful. I saw myself in him. Just a few years later, he's one of the most important journalists on the planet, internationally renowned, broadcasting and writing everywhere, and being listened to at the very highest levels, all of which qualified him to end up in handcuffs at Heathrow Airport just this last weekend. Let's hear straight from the horse's mouth. Richard Medhurst, I've never been happier to see you than I am to see you tonight. It was an utterly chilling experience. And for those who haven't yet heard you describe it, please reprise what happened to you at Heathrow last weekend.
Hi, George. Good evening, and thanks for having me. It's an honor to be with you, and I appreciate your kind words and support. What happened to me was a scandal, honestly. I mean, I was going to London. I was met at the entrance of the aircraft. They told me to come to the front of the plane, and suddenly there's these 6 police officers, one of them even in tactical gear. And they were telling me that I had to give them my bags and I'd come off the plane, and they wouldn't really explain why. And then they said that I'm being arrested, so not detained, but arrested under the Terrorism Act of Section 12. I mean, to this minute, I really can't believe it. And they wouldn't really explain what exactly Section 12 meant. They basically put me in handcuffs, and they were just normal handcuffs. They were double locked and wrists on top of each other. So you're like this. I almost, to struggle to not fall over in the van. They drove me about 10 minutes to Heathrow police station. And they threw me in a cell. Basically, they ransacked my bags and all this stuff, and then they threw me into a cell that was. I mean, it's more of a toilet than a cell. Honestly, there was no toilet paper, no windows, barely any light, freezing cold. And you have to beg, you have to nag for the most basic of things. You know, since the moment they arrested me, I was saying, I just got off the plane. I'd like some water, please. I ended up waiting hours for one small cup of water. You know, I also was told I'm not allowed to speak to my family. So, you know, they were saying you have the right to tell someone that you're locked up. Well, I said, I'd like to do that very much. And then they would answer, well, your calls have been withheld. And they even gave me a pamphlet that said I had the right to say it. And I was, you know, I thought I better drop it. I better not even argue, because it felt like being in a primary school. You know, you're being told to shut up even. So, you know, it was basically not being told what I've done for about 15 hours, thrown in a toilet and told to shut up. And it's a miracle that they called a solicitor, because I was honestly not expecting not expecting them to do it at all. And then they questioned me for about an hour, maybe it was an hour and a half, 2 hours. There's no need to keep me, almost 24 hours. I think they did it to intimidate me and to dehumanize me. And you know, when I got to the station, they made me basically take off my shoes. I had to take off my socks. I had to pull the socks inside out and hold them up to a group of police officers for them to look at, and then hold up my feet. You know, like it's unbelievable, really.
It is unbelievable, even as I hear you describe it for the second time. I mean, the pen is mightier than the sword, but it is, after all, a pen. And a pen cannot, however you dice it, be described as a terrorist weapon. How did they even begin to make the argument that you were worthy of arrest and handcuffing under terrorism legislation?
Well, unfortunately, I'm not really at liberty to go into the questions, because I'm still under investigation. They might charge me in 3 months or whenever, and I have to go back to this police station. So I'm out on bail. I'm on pre-charge bail. Now, they told me it's unconditional, but I'll get back to that in a second. How did they begin to do this? Well, you know, it's about my coverage regarding Palestine. Fundamentally, that's what it is, and I feel like they're targeting me because I don't know which story it is in particular, but I was doing a lot of stuff recently. I was talking about the Israeli Olympic athletes, you know, how they were saying pro-genocide and pro-war things and not being neutral. I was talking about the gang rape in State Amman, the massacres. So I don't know what it is that ticked them off. Maybe it was something from a few months ago as well. I really don't know, but I think they just, you know, they just want to silence me. They want to have this case hanging over my head. You know, living in fear. Am I going to be charged? What can I say? Can I talk about what happened to myself? Can I talk about what's happening in Palestine? So they want to muzzle me, George. That's effectively what they're trying to do. And so they say it's unconditional, but it's not unconditional.
Your parents must be horrified. Your family has given distinguished service to Britain. And indeed to the international community through the United Nations, Nobel Peace Prize winners. It is literally unbelievable, actually, that someone like you could end up in the circumstances that you ended up this weekend. But I would like to advise you that the decision to do this to you could not have been made by a simple police officer. No police officer has the idea that a man who just bought his ticket that morning should be met by 6 officers. You try getting 6 officers to any crime scene, one in tactical gear. This was not a police decision. This is a political decision, driven no doubt by the intelligence services, but a politically accountable decision to seize, like some banana republic, a distinguished British citizen, increasingly renowned for his broadcasting and journalism in the world. So I believe that the crime that was committed against you was committed not by the cops that were sent there, but by the political masters who took a decision that Richard Medhurst has to be cut down to size. Are you able to comment at all on that?
I don't know, honestly, but honestly, George, I'd be surprised if it were anything else. It certainly feels like a political persecution, and you know, the thing is that I'm not going to say if it was because of foreign interests or not, because I genuinely do not know. But to be honest, the idea that you know, that I would support or have anything to do with terrorism is preposterous. I mean, if you're going to arrest someone and send 6 police officers, you obviously have some idea who you're arresting and what their profile is. So they know I'm a journalist, and they know who my father is. He was in the Metropolitan Police. He's an authority on counterterrorism, right? Counterterrorism. So he taught me a lot about that as well. I mean, I myself, I'm a victim of terrorism. When we were posted in Islamabad, when I was in the British school, you know, there was a double suicide bombing in the building next door, the Egyptian embassy, and while I was inside the school, I remember that. And you know, I condemn terrorism. I want nothing to do with terrorism. I think the idea that I would have some kind of, you know, ill intention towards the country or something like that is preposterous. Really, I mean, the 6 officers coming to arrest me, and again, I'm not talking about them personally, but this kind of intimidation, that is a form of terrorism. They're literally trying to terrorize you into, you know, into shutting up. They're trying to make you submit and stay quiet. And I can't allow that to happen. I have a moral duty. I have to continue my work. But the problem is now that the threshold for the Section 12 of the Terrorism Act is so low, it is so draconian, that anything, truly anything at all, can be skewed into the most preposterous crime. You know, they can take anything that you have said, or that even something you didn't say, and accuse you of terrorism. I mean, I really, if I could only speak freely, I think you would be 10 times as shocked as to what happened, George, really. But there's no doubt it's a political persecution. I feel like my coverage on Assange also might have annoyed some people. And the fact that I've been coming to England, and, you know, this is my country, and I've been invited all up and down the country, and, you know, east and west to speak, and they don't like that. So, you know, the idea that we're going to submit and yield to Zionism and these kinds of interests, I mean, they're trying it on the wrong person.
Amen. I'll not tempt you further, Richard, because I can sense that there are limits to what you can tell us. But please accept the full solidarity of everyone at the Mother of All Talk Shows, and I'm sure everyone watching this show this evening. What's the best way that people can show their support for you right now?
Just to make noise, just to highlight how absurd the Terrorism Act is and unjust it is. I mean, I was literally criticizing it as I was getting on the plane, and then I got arrested under it. It's really remarkable. So the best way they can support is just to make noise and try and raise awareness, and you know, put pressure on the organizations that are for free speech and journalism to also issue statements in you know, against the Terrorism Act, because it's not just about me. This is the beginning of an escalation. They're making an example out of me, and they'll go after others, because they've usually detained people. They've never, I don't know of any cases where they actually arrested journalists under Section 12. So I think I'm the first one, and you know, it's not going to stop here. So I'm grateful to everyone for their moral support, and it really goes a long way. It's really cherished. Thank you, George.
Richard Medhurst, renowned independent journalist and political.
Preserve Benjamin Netanyahu's political viability as the Israeli prime minister and prevent a broader regional conflict. What makes this difficult is that in order for Benjamin Netanyahu to retain viability, he has to be seen as A, being a wartime leader, and B, pursuing policies designed to win wars, not acknowledge defeat. The Americans who are pushing for a ceasefire are pushing for an outcome, a ceasefire, that would be the political ruin of Benjamin Netanyahu. So to offset the political consequences of accepting a ceasefire, which I believe eventually Israel will have to do, Netanyahu is engaged in very dangerous provocations regionally that promote him as an aggressive defender of Israeli security. This is why he carried out the assassinations in Beirut and in Tehran. And this is why Israel continues to carry out aggressive bombing attacks in Lebanon, Syria, and elsewhere. This allows Netanyahu to say that I have not surrendered. I am defending Israel's national security, but doing it in a way that doesn't automatically provoke Hezbollah or Iranian response. I mean, I think most people believe that there will be a Hezbollah or Iranian response, but the fact that it's taken this long implies that both Hezbollah and Iran are weighing the risks associated with such a response and maybe seeking to mitigate the scope and scale of this response in a way that enables them to resolve domestic political criticism that they've allowed Israel to get away with literal murder without provoking Israel to carry out an even larger counterstrike. So it's a very, very delicate game being played that involves domestic Israeli politics, domestic American politics, domestic Iranian politics, domestic Lebanese politics, and good old-fashioned geopolitical posturing.
Yeah. Here is what Anthony Blinken said during this visit, Scott.
The first is to reaffirm the commitment of the United States to Israel's security. That's a commitment that we put into practice virtually every day since October 7th, including when Israel was attacked directly by Iran back in April. In recent weeks, given the heightened tensions, we have deployed additional assets to the region. The purpose of the deployment of these assets is not to provoke aggression, but rather to deter it, to make sure that it doesn't happen, but also to make clear that if it does, we are fully prepared to defend Israel. We've coupled this effort with an intense diplomatic campaign, virtually a global diplomatic campaign, working with countries around the world to send the message strongly to every concerned party not to take any steps that would escalate tensions, that would risk provoking a wider conflict. And this too has been something we've been working on from day one since October 7th. It's been one of our primary objectives to prevent the conflict from escalating, from spreading in other places. And so this coupling of our military commitments, our security commitments, with an intense diplomatic campaign is something that I'm pursuing on this trip, again, with the intent of making sure that we deter further conflict, but that we're also clearly prepared to defend against it if it comes. But what's most crucial now is that everyone refrain from taking any actions that could fuel further conflict, escalate tensions, and result in the spreading of violence and conflict.
Yeah. The question is, Scott, when he says that we are ready to defend Israel, but at the end of the day, what's mattered the most is how they are trying to convince Netanyahu to go after some sort of ceasefire, because that would be the most important solution for this conflict in Gaza, not Iran and Israel, because it's a production of this conflict.
First of all, we have to understand that when the United States says that, or when the Biden administration says that America will defend Israel, they mean just that, defend Israel. That does not mean that America will participate in Israeli offensive actions against either Hezbollah or Iran. And I think that's one of the unspoken realities of this situation that the United States is communicating directly to Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel, that the U.S. will be there if Iran chooses to attack Israel, to retaliate for the Israeli assassination that took place in Tehran. But that if Israel chooses to extend its operations into Iran to launch a major counterstrike, that the United States will not participate, that Israel will be very much on its own, that Israel has put itself in this situation and the United States isn't going to get it out of it, that we will defend Israel, but we won't participate in any offensive action. And I think this is a big card that's being played because, to throw out an example here, right after the assassination, Russia flew in many flights of advanced surface-to-air missiles, S-400s, electronic warfare equipment, radars, etc., that have significantly upgraded Iran's defensive capabilities. This changes everything about the Israeli attack profile. Whatever attack plan that Israel had to strike Iran now has to be significantly modified to take into account these new weapon systems. And Israel may, in fact, not have the capacity to launch meaningful attacks that can defeat this new enhanced defensive posture of Iran. And so the combination of the United States saying, we're not going to help you out to attack Iran, and Iran upgrading its defense has hampered Israel's response potential, limited their options. And so, this is something that all parties are taking into account, to include, I believe, Iran, which will seek to strike Israel. Iran must, but will do so in a way that, doesn't create an imperative that Israel must respond meaningfully, that hopefully that this thing can, go away, just like what happened in April when, Israel attacked the Iranian consulate in Damascus. Iran responded, and then Israel did a token retaliation, and that was the end of it. I think all parties are hopeful that that can be the outcome of this current crisis.
And how do you see the mind of Netanyahu and his administration right now? But it seems you say that the United States is saying that we are not going to be part of any sort of attack on Iran. But in the mind of Netanyahu and his administration, it doesn't seem to be like that. They're thinking that if something big happens, the United States will be part of that operation. That's why they're not trying to negotiate, despite everything coming from the, I don't know if you accept that Antony Blinken is doing his best to convince Netanyahu or not. But at the end of the day, one of the main reasons that they're not considering any sort of ceasefire, because they're thinking that if something happens between Iran and Israel, the United States would be part of this.
I don't know how Israel can believe that. I believe that Israel was set straight when Netanyahu visited the United States. He got his massive, rounds of standing ovations, 54 or something of that nature, in Congress. But then he had to go and be briefed on reality by the Pentagon and by the White House, where I believe both the Pentagon and the White House put him on notice that America will defend but will not participate in offensive actions. And I think this is what prompted Netanyahu to authorize the assassinations, because he had to do something. He stood before Congress and promised massive strikes against Hezbollah, massive strikes against Iran. But when he was told that this was impossible because the United States wouldn't respond, he didn't back away. He simply refocused his efforts, carried out these assassinations, which were terribly provocative, terribly provocative. The United States could not have been happy with this, but it allowed Netanyahu to posture and say, I am the national security prime minister. I am the leader of Israel that's capable of carrying out these decisive strikes. I have sent a signal to Hezbollah, Hamas, and Iran that Israel will not be trifled with. So he gained, some political ammunition domestically by doing that. And that, when combined with the fact that the United States Congress anointed him as the ultimate Israeli leader that America relies upon, I think positions him to be able to consider to enter into negotiations about a ceasefire. But Netanyahu was going to is not just going to roll over. He is looking to maximize his political viability. He has to be careful, because if he accepts a ceasefire that is seen as surrender by his coalition, then his coalition collapses and he may not stay on as prime minister, even though he has the American flag wrapped around his shoulder. So he is going to continue to play this very dangerous game of escalation management, up until which time either he gets a deal that's acceptable or he reaches the end. And the danger here is that if he pushes it too far, then you get an Iranian retaliation, then you get a Hezbollah retaliation, then you get a regional war, and that's an option that nobody wants.
And as you mentioned, do you think that part of this is a strategy on Iranian strategy toward considering the response that they're going to have? Do you think that because of the way that they're thinking, that these negotiations that are going on between the United States and Israelis in order to have a political settlement, do you think Iran is still hoping that it's going to have something coming out of these negotiations, or that's why they're just not attacking Israel right now? They didn't respond so far. And because everybody's asking why Iran is taking too much time to respond.
Well, what are Iran's strategic objectives here? To be seen as a nation capable of responding to Israel militarily? They've already proven that. Iran is a nation that has a strategic objective not of defining its role in the Middle East through military supremacy. Iran's military power is meant to be a deterrence against outside aggression against Iran. Iran wants to be a geopolitical player that focuses more on its economic potential and its ability to leverage this economic potential into, regional, not dominance, but to be a player regionally. And the region we're talking about is not just the Middle East, but Eurasia. Iran is focused on BRICS, joining BRICS, preparing for BRICS. Iran is focused on the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Iran is focused on a European Economic Union. Iran is focused on everything but war. It doesn't want a war. It's not seeking a war. You remember, Iran didn't ask for this crisis. This crisis was brought on Iran by Israel that opted to carry out an assassination in Tehran. And so now the question for Iran is, do we, go with our emotions and bomb and throw away all this potential we have of economic revitalization, geopolitical relevance, or are we patient? And do we play this thing out, managing escalation so as not to create a regional conflict that undoes decades of work that Iran has been involved in trying to position itself to be right where it is, a nation on the cusp of geopolitical relevance, re-emerging into the family of nations as a major player. This is a role that Iran believes it deserves, it warrants, but it hasn't been able to achieve because of decades of sanctions and isolation. They now have the potential to break out of this. Do they really want to be dragged back down into the morass simply because people say we have to bomb Israel? I think Iran's playing this very smart. And I say the same thing for Hezbollah. Hezbollah is no longer just a resistance movement. It is a political party that plays a very important role in Lebanon. And Hezbollah has, invested a lot of political capital into getting to this position where the Lebanese people trust Hezbollah to do that which is right, not just for the Shia, not just for Hezbollah, but for Lebanon as a whole. So it's not in Hezbollah's interest to engage in a major confrontation with Israel that would drag Lebanon into this conflict and do tremendous harm on Lebanon at a time when Lebanon simply can't afford to have harm done to it. So again, Hassan Nasrallah is showing his maturity as a leader, a Lebanese leader who has regional geopolitics on the mind by not drastically escalating in response to Israel's provocation of the assassination in Beirut.
Can we say that this attack, this problem that you're witnessing between Gazans and Israel is unifying all of the parties? Because the news shows that it seems that in Lebanon, the situation, the position of Hezbollah is getting better and better. They were not in the same position before this conflict started between Israel and Gazans.
Could you say that one more time, please?
The position of Hezbollah right now in Lebanon, because you look at Sunni, Shia, and all these parties within Lebanon, it seems all of them are supporting Hezbollah right now, which wasn't the case before this conflict started.
Well, this is what I was saying, that Hezbollah has emerged as a political power in Lebanon, not just the representative of Hezbollah interests, but somebody who represents the interests of all of Lebanon. And I think the maturity of Hassan Nasrallah in approaching this issue, focusing on what is best for promoting Palestinian interests, which ultimately mean promoting the creation of a Palestinian state without destroying Lebanon in the process. I think the Lebanese people recognize that the role he has played, the role that Hezbollah has played, has been a very positive one for Lebanon and the region. And this is why you see Christians, Sunni, even Shia factions, Druze rallying around Hezbollah, saying, we support you in this endeavor.
And the other country that is important is Egypt right now. It seems that they're having some difficulties with the United States and Israel, considering the Philadelphia corridor. And how do you see the situation of this, and why Israelis are doing this? Does it make sense in your opinion?
Well, the Israelis are doing this from a security perspective. They believe that Egypt has failed in its responsibility of policing the border between Egypt and Gaza. There's every reason to believe that Hamas has a lot of connectivity, underground connectivity between Gaza and Egypt that has been used to funnel in weapons and supplies. One of the reasons why Hamas has been able to sustain this 10-month-long conflict. And Israel believes that Egypt has done a very poor job. And so Israel's position is if there's going to be a ceasefire, we have to ensure that Hamas does have the ability to reconstitute its forces, because that would just bring us back to square one. And so Israel's insisting that it retain control of the Philadelphia corridor, which is a direct violation of the Camp David peace accords. And Egypt is from a legal standpoint saying Israel has no right to do this. But the fact is, Egypt's in a difficult position because it hasn't done a good job of policing that corridor. And the question is, was this incompetence? Was this a deliberate oversight on their part? We don't know. Only the Egyptian government knows. But this puts the Egyptian government in a very, very difficult position.
Is the situation in Israel helping the Biden administration in 2024, considering the Democratic Party? If not, why they're not trying to do the maximum thing that they can do in order to convince Netanyahu?
I mean, that's a political question that the Biden administration is weighing right now. On the one hand, in the America of today, it's impossible for a major political player to seek national office, especially the presidency, without bowing before the shrine of Israel. And you see the Biden administration doing that. You see Kamala Harris saying the same thing. She would do that. Trump is doing that. RFK Jr. Was doing that. The only one who's not doing that is Jill Stein and Cornel West, I guess. But to be honest, while I respect their respective positions, they aren't going to win the election. But on the other hand, especially in the Democratic Party, there are important demographics in critical, states, battleground states, especially Michigan, Wisconsin, that have taken such offense at the Biden administration's support of Israel's genocide, the facilitation of the continued murder of Palestinian children and civilians by Israel using American bombs. The posture of the Biden administration vis-a-vis Israel could cost them these states. So it's a very difficult position for Biden. And what makes it even more difficult is that if Biden softens, or if Kamala Harris softens her position on Gaza, takes a more conciliatory posture towards the Palestinian cause, she's going to lose, pro-Israeli voters who will just jump over to Trump, because for pro-Israeli voters, it doesn't matter so much the D or the R. What matters is Israel and which side is going to, best support Israel. So it's a very difficult position for the Biden administration to be in right now. And this is one of the reasons why I think you see Anthony Blinken, in the Middle East, in Israel, working hard to try and get some sort of ceasefire, because the sooner they can get a ceasefire, the sooner they can say, look, we did everything we could to bring an end to this war, but we did it in a way that Israel, the state of Israel, agrees with. And so it'll be the best of both worlds for the Biden administration.
Is Netanyahu thinking that he's winning the conflict? That's why he's not willing to negotiate. He's not willing to have any sort of political settlement? Or is it something else in his mind that he's seeking?
Revolutionary salute to our brother Vincent Brown for the donation to the war chest. Revolution is a way of life. I absolutely appreciate the love, family. Salute.
I don't think Netanyahu thinks he's winning militarily. I think he knows the opposite. I think he is seeking to survive politically. I think this entire posturing by Israel is about Netanyahu's continued political survival. And the shame is that he's putting, not just the existential survival of Israel on the table, but he's putting, thousands, tens of thousands of Palestinian lives on the table, just because he wants his political legacy to be that of a leader that isn't tainted by corruption charges, isn't tainted by military defeat. He wants to emerge from this crisis as the savior of Israel. And I think that's what's driving him, not some artificial belief that Israel's winning, but the necessity to sell an Israeli victory to an Israeli public, even if it isn't necessarily the victory that Netanyahu originally promised.
If we compare Russia and Israel during these two conflicts, we can say definitely that Russian army is getting stronger, and more strategically thinking that. But how about the Israeli army? Are they getting stronger in your opinion?
I don't believe so. I think the Israeli army is getting weaker. Materially, they're exhausted. They've run out of spare parts for their tanks and armored vehicles, so they can't repair damaged vehicles, which means that they are depleting their frontline stocks and having to replace them with, older mothballed equipment, which is a reduction in capability. Their military, isn't designed to fight a 10-month-long war. They're designed to fight shorter conflicts, conflicts that have less emphasis on infantry engagements and more emphasis on exploiting technological supremacy on the part of Israel in terms of the the equipment they bring to bear. Most of it provided by the United States. Israel is morally exhausted. The most moral army in the world has turned out not to be. Turned out to be actually an army of genocidal, murderous rapists. Not all Israeli soldiers behave in this way, but a significant number do. And now what we're finding out is that there's a significant element in Israeli society that supports this kind of behavior, which creates a moral dilemma for Israel itself as it looks to the world to say, we need the world's support to continue to survive. And the world is looking at Israel saying, we can't support you, and we probably never will as you're currently configured. So the idea that Israel today is stronger than it was on October 6th, I think, is ludicrous. Israel is far weaker.
The other thing that Iranians are talking about, fighter jets, buying fighter jets from Russia. Do you think that if that happens, what would happen to the situation between Iran and Israel? We're gonna have the tension's gonna increase or decrease, in your opinion?
I mean, Israel has long said that it doesn't support Russia providing, equipment that is the equivalent of that which is provided by the United States to Israel or close to it. But Israel has created a situation where Russia almost has no other option because Israel's behavior is so egregious. The assassination of a senior Hamas official in Tehran, a Hamas official, by the way, who was leading the negotiations to bring about a ceasefire. And then Israel, this kind of brazen behavior demands a response. And as Lavrov warned Israel, Russia will not sit on the sidelines forever. And so Russia now has gotten off the sidelines and is in the process of upgrading Iran's military capability, which will complicate any potential future conflict between Israel and Iran to the detriment of Israel.
They were telling us, they were telling Iran that don't attack Israel because we are negotiating right now. Just be prepared. We're gonna have an agreement. And Qataris were talking about this. Washington was talking about this. But at the end of the day, do you think that we are all prisoners of Netanyahu's position? That's why they cannot convince him, because if he loses his position, that would be dangerous for him. That's why he has to continue this war, and nobody's able, even these Arab states, together with the United States, together with the growing tensions between Iran and Israel, all of them together are not capable of convincing Netanyahu.
Again, Netanyahu, what are you trying to convince him of? Political defeat? Because this is what if Netanyahu concedes and accepts a peace plan that can be spun as an Israeli defeat, and it would be spun as an Israeli defeat by Netanyahu's political opponents and even Netanyahu's political allies who are looking for a military victory promised by Netanyahu. That's the end of Netanyahu politically. And given the fact that he has a number of corruption charges hanging over his head, it's the end of Netanyahu. It's the end of his life. So this is all about Netanyahu. And I think the United States and others recognize this, and this is why everybody's working so hard to come up with some sort of solution that gets what the Palestinians insist on, which is a pathway towards a Palestinian state, while allowing Netanyahu with a graceful exit to say, I stood up for the defense of Israel, and now I can bow out gracefully, not leave with the tail between the legs. It's a very, almost an impossible juggling game. But it's the one that they're being played because Netanyahu has put his own personal ambition above that of what's best for the state of Israel.
If you were to assess what Saudi Arabia and UAE are doing to help Gazans, what would you point out in terms of this assessment?
I don't think the Arab world is helping Gaza at all. I think they're betraying Gaza. Right now, you have the Saudis talking about that from their position, maybe the most beneficial path for regional stability is normalization with Israel. That would be the legitimization of genocide, of murder of the Palestinians. You have important Saudi influencers, talking about the Palestinians as a non-existent state, a non-existent people. The same thing with many of the Gulf Arab states. So I think this is the unfortunate reality of the Palestinians, that they have been betrayed consistently by their Arab neighbors. The only Arabs that are on their side appears to be, Hezbollah, Syria, and the Iraqis. But in terms of the Gulf Arab states, the Palestinian cause has been betrayed from day one, and it continues to be betrayed today.
And how about the European Union? We know that the European Union trying to be silent, but at the end of the day, they're not happy with what's going on in Gaza. But what was the outcome of their policy so far, in your opinion?
I mean, they put indirect pressure on Israel, but not direct pressure. You see some political posturing by certain EU states by recognizing a Palestinian state. But other than the moment that it happens on TV and people cheering, it doesn't accomplish anything. The bombs are still dropping. People are still dying. You have the International Court of Justice making some very important decisions regarding Israel and genocide, and the European Union's not acting on those, as although they're empowered to do so, to hold Israel accountable. You have the International Criminal Court designating Netanyahu as a war criminal, arrest warrant out there, but no one seems to be pushing for the fulfillment of that arrest warrant. So there's a lot of political posturing by Europe that is designed to make them look good on paper, but the reality is they aren't supporting the Palestinian people, because every day Israeli bombs continue to fall and murder Palestinian children and Palestinian civilians, and Europe's not doing anything meaningfully to stop that.
Yeah. Before shifting to the conflict in Ukraine, Scott, what's going on between you and the FBI right now? What's the latest information on this case?
I have no update other than what I've reported since August 7th. I've had no communication with the U.S. government. Nobody's called me. Nobody sent me a letter. Nobody's responded to my queries. So I'm in a waiting mode.
Yeah, because everybody's asking what's going on, and we didn't know really what's going on, as you mentioned that. And how about the latest comment of Lavrov on the case of this attack, this offensive on the Kursk region? He said, with this offensive, with this invasion of Ukraine's invasion of Russia, we cannot negotiate with Zelensky and his administration. Or he said Kiev, he means everybody from Ukraine.
Well, according to some media reports, there were back channel negotiations taking place, I believe, in Qatar, between Ukraine, Russia, maybe using intermediaries, maybe not directly, but some dialogue designed to, find a mutually acceptable diplomatic off-ramp. If, as we remember, Vladimir Putin put a peace plan on the table back in June and said, this is the peace plan that we're running with. Ukraine rejected it, but the West rejected Ukraine's rejection. And so there seemed to be some effort to find, a common acceptable way to end this conflict. Russia never bought into that. I think Russia always said we never closed the door on discussions, but it doesn't mean that Russia was desperately searching for an end. Russia understands that it has the momentum, that it has the strategic, advantage in this conflict. It's getting stronger. Ukraine's getting weaker. But Russia's also aware that this conflict could spin out of control at any minute, given the political investment that the West has made in a Ukrainian victory that isn't going to happen. And so, Russia, in looking for an end game, is looking how to balance the ego of the West to avoid unnecessary escalation. So it's a very, we just call it very political environment taking place. That's over. The Ukrainian invasion of Kursk, which is an invasion of Russia on behalf of NATO, even though both NATO and the United States deny their involvement, this simply could not have happened without a significant involvement. This has terminated the negotiations, and now all that's left is the strategic defeat of Israel, of Ukraine, which will happen on a timetable that Russia is in charge of. Russia is not going to sacrifice men needlessly. Russia is prevailing on the battlefield, even in Kursk. The Ukrainian offensive has stopped. The strategic reserves that were committed are being hunted down and destroyed as we speak. The Russians did not divert significant forces to respond to Kursk. They maintained the momentum in Donetsk, and they're on the cusp of a major victory in the Donbass, in Zaporizhia, as the Ukrainian forces reach the point of collapse, meaning that the defenses are breached. There's nothing behind them. There's some talk that Ukraine will order the remaining forces in Donbass to fight to the death to delay Russia while Ukraine seeks to rebuild a defensive line on the west bank of the Dnieper River, and then leave those forces to die. That are east of that river. This is an act of desperation. This is where Russia is, and so I think that's where we're at right now. We are looking at a strategic Russian victory. We're looking at a Ukraine that has run out of options because they basically threw their strategic reserves into this gambit in Kursk that has failed. And we're looking at a West that is watching everything that they've struggled to achieve over the course of the past, not just 2+ years of conflict, but remember, the Ukrainian gambit is something that began in 2008 when they invaded Ukraine as part and parcel of an overall strategic policy designed to leverage Ukraine into a tool capable of weakening Russia. The West is waking up to the reality that this has failed, and now they're left with this strong Russia, stronger than it was before this conflict started, emboldened by this victory over not just Ukraine, but the collective West, and angry at the West. From the Western perspective, this is a very dangerous situation. And you see confusion in Europe, in NATO, in the United States on how to respond to this. Just to show you how dangerous this is, the United States back in March modified its nuclear employment plan. That means using nuclear weapons. They modified their nuclear employment plan to factor in the new Russian reality, the new North Korean reality, the new Chinese reality. We're talking about the use of nuclear weapons. And when you say modify or update, it means that we have new war plans that envision the use of nuclear weapons against Russia under conditions that are evolving. This is a very, very dangerous situation. When Abdi Aladanov, the Chechen Russian commander currently in Kursk, says either the war ends this year or we face World War III, he's not exaggerating. This is a very, very dangerous situation that we are confronted with.
The other thing that Zelensky is asking for long-range missiles and the permission to attack Russia. Do you think that if, as you mentioned, this offensive is failing right now, but how about getting nuclears, using dirty nuclear bombs, using these long-range missiles against Russia?
I don't see Ukraine using a dirty nuclear bomb. That would be just as foolish as can be. But I can't see Ukraine getting any support for the use of a dirty bomb. Anybody who's studied dirty bombs, and I have, we researched when I was a weapons inspector in Iraq. We investigated, an Iranian dirty bomb and its potential. It's just not a very good weapon. One of the interesting things is that the Iranians reached the same conclusion in pursuing this weapon. They did all the studies, and they went, it's a lot of effort to produce something that doesn't kill that many people. It's not that effective. So I just don't see Ukraine going that route. I see a lot of rhetoric about this designed to gin up emotions, but the bigger threat is long-range weapons. And if the United States does provide some of these standoff weapons that you're talking about, I think people need to start listening to Russia. Russia won't tolerate this. Russia won't tolerate Ukraine striking deep inside to Russia, because Russia recognizes that this isn't Ukraine doing this. This is NATO and the United States doing this, and Russia will respond accordingly. And increasingly, the conversations that senior Russian politicians and senior Russian military officers have is that if NATO seeks to use Ukraine as a proxy to carry out long-range strikes inside Russia, that Russia will respond directly against NATO and I mean, I'll give you a conversation I had yesterday that I think will air tonight, the Scott Ritter show. The senator said that this will probably include using nuclear weapons against European states. He threatened Great Britain in particular, said we'll just remove England from the world's map. This is an active senator, a lieutenant general, retired, who has the ear of Vladimir Putin. And I've seen Russian military officers say the same thing. Russia's just not in the business of absorbing blows indefinitely from the West. And, if Russia believes that if NATO takes that step to promote long-range strike inside Russia, that means that they've made a decision to decisively engage Russia down the road. And Russia's just not going to sit back and let NATO create an environment that maximizes their striking power and minimizes Russia's ability. Russia will preemptively strike using nuclear weapons. That's the world we live in. I mean, and this is the data that's out there, and nobody's doing anything about it. Everybody's pretending as if this is not a big deal, as if this is, a bluff on the part of Russia. It's not.
There are the right-wing party, the party that believes that Russia has to respond more solidly and strongly. Do you think that they're winning over Putin's rhetoric, the way that Putin had managed during this conflict? Do you think that there are putting some sort of pressure on Putin and his decisions toward the West, toward Ukraine?
Who's putting pressure on Putin?
These people, right-wing parties who are more radical, who are more against the West, against the policies of NATO.
No, I think Vladimir Putin is the head of he's been the head of Russia for close to a quarter of a century now. He's very much in charge. I think he listens to people, to points of view. But the idea that you can pressure Putin, especially on issues of national security, it's just not how Russia works. The Russian president doesn't respond to pressure. He responds to facts. He responds to reality. He absorbs this information and he makes decisions based upon that information. But the idea that the Russian president, look, he just won an election in March that solidified his position. You don't win it with those margins only to turn around and say, well, I'm politically susceptible to pressure from far right parties. No, the far right parties have no pressure, no ability to pressure Vladimir Putin. Putin will make the decisions that he believes are best in the best interest of the Russian Federation.
Don't you think that the way Putin is responding to any sort of escalation is just perceiving, the West is perceiving this attitude as he's afraid of us. He's afraid of escalation. He's afraid of, that's why we don't have any sort of negotiation. They don't want Russia to be at the table to negotiate. They don't want to do anything politically, just sending weapons, more aids to Ukraine so far. And we see the same type of attitude so far from Putin and his administration, just going on and on. How do you make sense of this attitude on part of Putin? And don't you think that he's getting to the point that his patience is perceived in the West as his weakness?
I think both the Russian president, the Russian leadership, and frankly speaking, the Russian people just don't care about the West anymore. They don't care what you think. They don't care what I think. They don't care what anybody thinks in the West. They're done with the West. The notion that Russia needs to do things to convince a Western audience about what the truth is absurd. Russia only needs to do things that promote Russia's interests. Putin only plays to a Russian audience. He is only responsive to a Russian audience. He does have to balance in the consideration of the rest of the world. And this is one of the reasons why you see such a pragmatic, patient, responsible leader, because he is demonstrating to the numerous nations that are rallying around the BRICS forum that Russia is a responsible player. It's not Russia's job to convince the West that Russia's serious. And I think that's the problem, is that in the West, we're like, well, Russia's not explaining things to us. Therefore, we start to read into it. That means that Putin's scared, Putin's this, Putin's that. I think it just means that Putin doesn't care. It's not his job to make you and I comfortable with what Russia's doing. The day and age where Russia cares about Western public opinion, Western political opinion, is long past. They care about the global South, they care about China, they care about India, but they don't care about the United States and Europe anymore.
Don't you think that Ukraine going to be a continuous problem for Russia if they continue this attitude of attacking on the Russian territory, this type of just bombing civilian areas? That's why I think that Russia has a path to communicate with the European Union, at least to have some sort of, to solve this problem that we call it right now is Ukraine. And without having any political settlement on Ukraine, they have to focus on their economy, on other things. But with Ukraine having on your border and having all of these problems, how you can manage that?
Well, first of all, the idea that Russia can view Europe as a reliable partner, because to engage with Europe means that you hope to achieve something beneficial from this engagement. Europe's just shown itself to be liars, going back to Minsk when Francois Hollande, the French president, and Angela Merkel, the German chancellor, lied to Putin, saying, no, we are promoting peace. But they later admitted, no, Minsk was just a sham to buy time to give NATO a chance to build the Ukrainian army that it can more effectively confront Russia. I don't know why the West doesn't understand that once France and Germany does that, that Russia will never again trust them. The United States has repeatedly lied to Russia about arms control, about a number of things. Russia no longer trusts the United States. It's not a reliable partner. So the idea that Putin is looking to Europe to save the day, to come in and do the right thing by Ukraine is absurd. I always remind people you have to listen to the words of the Russian president. And one speech I would advise everybody to go back and reread is the speech that Putin gave on the eve of initiating the special military operation, when he talked about the history of Ukraine. And he did so again in his interview with Tucker Carlson, which people rolled their eyes. They called it Russian propaganda. Read it again, because it tells you everything about where Russia is right now. I'll just shorten it. Ukraine is a historical mistake. It's a mistake made by Lenin, and Russia is going to fix this mistake. I'll say it one more time so people understand what I'm saying. The only reason why Ukraine exists is because of a political mistake made by Lenin, and Russia is now going to correct this mistake. That means Ukraine isn't going to exist when this is done. You keep saying that Ukraine's going to be there, this festering wound, this constant problem. No, it won't. Ukraine isn't going to exist when this is done. Whatever we call Ukraine today isn't going to exist. It's going to be something else. And for that, you can thank Ukraine for invading Russia. You can thank the West for facilitating this invasion. Vladimir Putin had a plan on the table back in June that envisioned a Ukraine that retained Odessa, Kharkov, Sumy, Dnipropetrovsk, Nikolaev. These are territories that many in Russia are saying have to be Russian. And the plan put on the table by Putin said, no, this will be Ukraine. Putin was talking about an independent Ukraine. It had to be neutral. It couldn't have a NATO army in it. And the Banderist ideology had to be eliminated. But Ukraine was going to be an independent state. I don't think they're talking in that language anymore. They speak of the Kiev regime, eliminating the Kiev regime. They're no longer talking about Ukraine as a nation state, because I think the objective is that when this is done, there will be no Ukrainian nation state.
when it comes to the Washington and their policy right now, I'm going to play a clip here, Scott.
The Ukrainians, in terms of their focus, you heard President Zelensky say it was to create a buffer zone. So we're having those conversations to learn more about what their objectives are. Again, if you take a step back from a U.S. perspective, our focus continues to be enabling Ukraine to be a free and sovereign country that can deter Russian aggression in the future. And so that continues to be our focus. As it relates to their operation in Kursk, as I mentioned, they clearly have compelled the Russians to struggle in their response. It has certainly demonstrated the creativity and the battlefield prowess of the Ukrainians. But when it comes to what their longer term objectives are here, that's something that we're still discussing with them. Thank you. Sir.
Yeah, he's talking about creativity of Ukrainians in terms of this attack and how they're going to support Ukraine. In your opinion, do they have any sort of a strategy right now with what's going on between Russia and Ukraine, or just trying to convince the press that we are going to support Ukraine for I don't know, for how many years they have in their mind?
Well, I think, first of all, we have to look at what Ukraine was attempting to do with this Kursk incursion. They were seeking to take significant territory, inclusive of the Kursk nuclear power plant, to seize this territory, to get what they basically called, I forget the exact term, but it's basically to get chips on the table that they can trade for the chips that Russia has. To say we'll give you back Kursk in the Kursk nuclear power plant in exchange for the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant and Kherson, something of that nature, in exchange that could allow Zelensky then to seek a ceasefire on terms that showed, look, he pushed Russia back. This is deterrence to Russia. That was one objective. The other one was to get the Russians to divert significant military resources from their ongoing offensive operations in the Donbass, and effectively halting those operations at the moment when they're having the greatest success, and diverting these resources to deal with the Kursk incursion. So that was the goal and objective. And from a Western standpoint, that's those are strategic objectives. Now the West is confronted with the reality that one, the Ukrainians didn't come anywhere near the Kursk nuclear power plant. Two, the Kursk gambit is failing. The Russians didn't divert significant resources. They responded with 2 Marine brigades and the Akhmat Special Forces that are in the process of hunting down the Ukrainians on Russian soil and killing them. This will take some time. Abdi Aladanov, the Chechen general, Russian general in charge of the Akhmat Special Forces, has said this is very difficult fighting. These Ukrainians have, good training. They have good equipment. They have good command and control. They fight using a different standard than any Ukrainian force has ever done before, a NATO standard. Integrating artificial intelligence into their concept of operations, modern communications, etc. But he said, we are winning. We've stopped them, and now we're killing them. That's the reality. So the Ukrainians aren't going to have any chips to trade. What they've done is they've taken their best trained forces, best equipped forces that could have been used to help stabilize the situation in the Donbass, and instead they've expended them. In order to save these forces now, they've had to take additional brigades from the Zaporizhia area and deploy them in to try and, stabilize the collapse of the Ukrainian position in Kursk, further weakening their position in the Donbass. Meanwhile, Russia continues to advance almost unimpeded in the West. We're looking at the veritable collapse of Ukraine defense there. So the Kursk operation has been an absolute failure. Now the West is trying to spin it in a way that, on the one hand, sort of gives the Ukrainians a little pat on the back, saying good job, but on the other hand, washing their hands of it, saying, we don't know what the strategic goals and objectives of Ukraine are, and we're worried that Ukraine may not have the ability to accomplish that what it set out to do.
Do we know how many forces they've used for this offensive?
The Russians have said that 18 different units, brigades, separate battalions, regiments, basically the equivalent of 2 divisions, have been deployed in support of this, with more brigades coming up. So the number of troops is between like 9 and 12,000, with the potential even more being added to the fight. But they've already lost close to 4,000 casualties, dead, and they're losing more. They've lost a tremendous amount of equipment, and so even if they're able to withdraw, a majority of the remaining bodies back into Ukraine, the equipment that went in with them, the Challenger tanks, the M1 Abrams, the Leopards, the Martyrs, the Bradleys, the Strykers, this equipment's being destroyed. They've basically sacrificed their strategic reserves to achieve, short-term political TikTok videos. It's sort of ironic that the majority of the videos that we saw early on in this conflict, showing Ukrainians going up and taking their photographs at town plates and doing things, the Russians now have responded with videos that either show those people dead or captured. I mean, that's the fate of every Ukrainian that's gone into Kursk, unless they can get out of Kursk. And Russia is not just striking back at Kursk, but they're striking the logistical support hubs and command and control hubs in Sumy province. And they're just devastating. As Ukraine brings up reinforcements, they arrive in Sumy and they're hit by the glide bombs, and they never make it in. So this is just devastating all around for Ukraine.
And how about the percentage of mercenaries, Scott, in this operation? Do we have any sort of information on that?
Well, I don't have an exact number. I do know that the Russians have provided anecdotal evidence that when they monitor the communication nets, they hear a lot of Polish voices, a lot of French voices, a lot of English voices. But in terms of the prisoners that they present, the bodies that they show, these are primarily Ukrainians, and so I would guess that you have, for instance, the International Legion that is there, multiple battalions of troops, but the vast majority of the troops that were engaged in this fighting are Ukrainian troops.
And in these mercenaries, do you think the majority of them are just fighting for money, or they're just believing in what they're doing?
It's hard to get into the motivation of a mercenary. I think many of them are just adventurers who have become addicted to war. A lot of the Americans and some of the British are people who volunteered previously to fight against ISIS in Syria on the side of the Syrians. And they've become addicted to war, and so they go there. Other people who are unsatisfied with their situation at home. Others are military veterans who didn't see combat while they were in, or were in jobs that wouldn't allow them to see combat, and they decided they want to prove their manhood. I can't speak to the motivation of these individuals. I think it changes per person. The money isn't that good. It's not the equivalent of what a Blackwater operative was earning in Iraq. But it's a chance to go out and kill Russians, and so that is something that many people find attractive.
And the other thing that Russians were talking about was the U.S. journalists in this region. Do you think, what would the motive of this sending journalists to the region, and is that based on international law? Is it against international law? How do you find it?
I think a journalist is a journalist. They do their job. Generally speaking, journalists are held accountable to the laws. Not generally speaking, but in every case, you're held accountable to the laws of the nations you work in. We saw that with Evan Gershkowitz, the Wall Street Journal journalist, who claims he was researching a story, but he received classified information, and the Russians prosecuted him as a spy, probably because he was one. But even if he wasn't, he acted like one. from the Russian perspective, you can't enter Russian territory without the permission of the Russian government. And so if you're a journalist who has crossed into Russia as part of this Kursk incursion, you're in violation of Russian law. We can even take it a step further. Some of the units that are operating inside Kursk are units affiliated with the Banderist ideology that Russia has labeled to be criminal units, terrorist units. And so if a journalist has embedded, now they're providing material support for terrorism, and that's another criminal offense that could be put on them. So, journalists have to be careful. Look, we've seen journalists travel to Crimea and have the Ukrainians attack them by saying, you've gone into Ukrainian territory without our permission. I have traveled to Crimea. I have traveled to Kherson, Zaporizhia, Donetsk, and Lugansk. Totally in conformity with Russian law, but from the Ukrainian perspective, I'm violating Ukrainian law. So, journalists just have to be careful on what they do and try to ensure that, they're doing their journalistic duties of reporting, the fact-based truth from a ground level.
Just to wrap up this session, Scott, do you see any sort of concern in the European Union with what's going on in this region, with this attack on Russian soil?
Not enough. I've seen the Germans gloating. I mean, it's unbelievable what we see happening in Germany, where German officers dressed in their formal uniforms are, briefing the battle, drawing arrows around Kursk as if they have no, notion of history and, what that battle means. We have, Europeans, gloating about Germans again gloating about having German tanks on Russian soil in Kursk as if this is a good thing. There's not enough concern about the consequences of this action, what it means. This is a very, very dangerous situation. Again, not to overplay my hand, but I have to say it. The fact that Europe shows so little regard for, the reality that Ukraine, operating as a NATO proxy, has invaded Russia and what the consequences of this means, shows the absolute disconnect that exists in Europe between the reality as it exists on the ground in Ukraine and the fantasy that exists, in the heads of these European leaders who have invested everything they have into the notion of an expansive NATO designed to not just confront Russia, but to defeat Russia. And now they are waking up to the reality that Russia has not been defeated. In fact, Russia may very well end up defeating the collective West, at least in Ukraine, but if they want to have an expansive conflict in that as well. And this creates a political problem that politicians can't confront directly, so they'll continue to lie, to deceive their respective publics.
If something happens, Scott, we know that would be, we can say, impossible. But if something happens, is the United States thinking of Europe as a buffer zone that the threshold would be, if the war comes to Europe, we can then negotiate with Russia?
Now we're getting into a level of, strategic chicanery that I can't imagine that conversation taking place in the White House Situation Room. It's so grossly irresponsible. I can't imagine the United States openly talking about selling Europe out. When Joe Biden talks about, the sacred duty of the United States to defend Israel, I would imagine that most posturing regarding American support for Israel reflects, that concept. I do think the United States, though, has played games on the margins. For instance, we have long been talking about the need for Germany to liberate itself from, cheap Russian energy, without really taking into account what the consequences of that would be. There are some who say that the United States has, in fact, taken into account that one of the goals was to facilitate the deindustrialization of Germany, to weaken Germany economically, so that the United States might have more leverage in Europe through, increased economic presence and influence. Replace cheap Russian gas with, expensive American liquid natural gas seemed to be one of the things that was happening here. So I can't say consistently that America's actual policies reflect, the desire to, have the sacred duty of defending Europe. There is some aspect of American policy that does seem to be to the detriment of Europe, and that seems to be part of a strategic objective of the United States to de-emphasize the Eurozone and try to incorporate Europe into, a shrinking dollar zone. So I think there is a balance there, but just to come straight out in a national security meeting and say, we're here to create a buffer zone in Europe, the hell with NATO, the hell with the European Union, just a pure buffer zone. That might be a conversation that takes place in think tanks, but I don't think that's a conversation that takes place in the White House Situation Room.
Again, we're witnessing new articles about Nord Stream pipeline and talking about 2 Ukrainians. Then they said that the Zaluzhny was behind this attack. Right now, they're talking about 2 Ukrainians. What's the necessity of talking about Nord Stream pipeline right now? And do you think is there anybody buying this argument that Ukrainians were behind this attack?
I mean, this is a big game that's being played right now. The interesting thing is that Germany has come out and committed to a narrative that says Russia didn't do it. If you remember when Nord Stream first was attacked, one of the big themes that was being promoted is that Russia did this, that the Russians are responsible. And so now Germany, as the primary affected party, has come out and said, no, Russia didn't do this. But now they're pointing the finger at Ukraine. There are people like myself who are doubtful that Ukraine could have pulled this off, but I have to acknowledge I have not seen the totality of the German data. I don't know what specifics are included in the indictments that they have put forward on some named Ukrainian individuals. So without that, it's impossible to do a full evaluation. But it runs in the face of reporting, for instance, by Seymour Hersh, who was a respected, investigative journalist with a long track record of getting it right. And it also ignores the, cui bono, who benefits from this. When you have, Joe Biden saying, if Russia invades Ukraine, we will destroy it. I will destroy the pipeline. When Ted Cruz says, no, this is a good thing. When, Victoria Nuland praises this, the fact of the matter is the overwhelming amount of circumstantial evidence out there points to the United States being the perpetrator of this act. And so now we see, Germany taking the lead and trying to point the finger to Ukraine. It's interesting. It's fascinating, the timing of it and the content of these accusations. I think there's a lot more at play politically than meets the eye.
Thank you so much, Scott, for being with us today. Great.
Cool. Follow me.